And welcome back, everyone, to the last series of the day. We are into the finals in this best of 5 Torpedo versus Death and Taxes. On the left side of your screen, of course, we have Torpedo, Custom on that Grok, Spunkki on Eevee, Thiel on Androxus, Laizy on that Pip, who's been doing monstrous work, and Princess, of course, on that Barrack. Vox can break down the other side, the other team.
On the right-hand side of your scoreboard in red today, or at least for this match, are Death and Taxes, the underdog of this tournament today. Simsiloo on Pip, Tuzkar on Barrack, Bozey on Grok, Bird on Androxus once again with the plays, and SunCommander on the Ruckus. Let's get right to it as the point has spawned on mines.
Spunkki jumps in straight away, doesn't get a freeze onto anyone, and Bird actually uses his reflection right there, so they're trading on those cooldowns. Does get poked out quite a bit, but nobody has touched the point right now. Both teams just sitting back and waiting.
Just as you say, that SunCommander does go on. Custom looks to deal some damage, but with the emitter up, you're not really scraping the surface. Spunkki in the backline, though, looking at Simsiloo. Spunkki dealing out some damage. Simsiloo might be able to turn this, though, with a few well-placed shots.
Yeah, but he's jumped down, and the rest of the team, Torpedo, pushing forwards on this platform. Laizy causing some issue on the side as well on his own. Princess forced out. Custom taken very low, has to pop that Ghost Walk, but SunCommander gets taken down as the first bug. Bozey also very low. Spunkki jumps in. Chicken actually comes through onto Princess, I think, there, and gets that kill. Spunkki taken down as well. It's 3 for 3 right now as they manage to find the kills.
If Bozey dies here, this is going to go in Torpedo's favor. Bozey gets picked up by Laizy, and Bird finally also picked up by Laizy as well. Laizy getting kills in both of those engagements. That will mean plenty more credits for burn cards, and immediately Laizy pushes out to look to zone. Torpedo capturing the point, sitting at 50% right now. Tuzkar going to be dismounted by Laizy here, forced to fight, whereas more members of Torpedo have made their way back onto the capture point with a 2-man advantage right now on the capture point. They'll be capturing even faster. Thiel jumps in as well. Laizy only has to stall for another moment as Tuzkar needs to dash in to stop the point for a second, but the freeze at the last moment from Spunkki stops him from setting foot on the capture point, and that's the capture point going in favor of Torpedo.
We've seen this every single time so far, and the snowstorm comes through. Spunkki cleans out Simsiloo from the side, and Thiel picks up a double kill as well with that revolver. We've seen this every single time.
That freeze.
The Barrack runs straight on, trying to contest, freeze right on the outside, instantly blown up, and now Torpedo, they're inside the base. Spunkki right in the back. The rest of the team hold high ground as the payload is starting to push up.
Bird looks to get a reflection off, but Spunkki wisely backs off, deals no damage, and I can hear an ultimate coming out from somebody. That's Bird on the top side, deals a lot of damage, wipes out Laizy without a Cursed Armor ultimate. Spunkki forced to soar away, but the payload has almost reached the base of Death and Taxes with 2 minutes left on the clock, heavily in favor of Torpedo once again. SunCommander going ham on Spunkki, looking to force him out. Spunkki able to dodge around the payload, stay alive. SunCommander indeed getting credit for that kill. Tuzkar doing a lot of the work there, I think, in that particular situation. I see you, Twitch chat. All the while, the payload has been stalled and is now being pushed backwards slightly.
It's being pushed back slightly, but they now have control of high ground again. They managed to take out Bird on that Androxus. They take out Bozey inside the base. Thiel coming round from the back of them. They all just fall inside the base of Death and Taxes whenever they get pushed. Thiel takes out Tuzkar. He's going to escape handily as well. The rest of the team pushing forwards onto the fortress. Bird has to dash out. He can't contest anymore. Sniped out of the air. Custom and Spunkki taken very low. SunCommander trying to do what he can, but the rest of the team going to collapse around him.
The emitter's down. The emitter's down on SunCommander. If Torpedo can push now, it's the prime time to push. In fact, a freeze does come out, but the emitter has been popped. SunCommander forced out, though, as the damage coming through is insane. Laizy drops a lot of damage onto the side of Death and Taxes right now, but the freeze and the ultimate from Spunkki just keeps Death and Taxes zoned completely away from the payload. They can't stop it, and that's a payload conversion 2-point advantage to the side of Torpedo.
The dash by Thiel right at the end was beautiful. He dashed right out, right in, picked up a held nugget, up to the top again, and then started dealing damage once more. Perfectly surgical dashes.
Some of the Androxus plays we've seen again this tournament. Androxus hasn't been quite the hyper carry which we saw him last week in North America, where you could heal for a significant amount with reversal. But just some of the dash plays and the air control which players have exhibited is fantastic, and the knowledge of dash up, dash down, dash across to get around ledges and really increase your movement speed. It's paying off for the teams which are taking advantage of it.
Full blast shields, but at the same time, 4 wreckers coming through from Torpedo here. The dome does get dropped. Custom goes in for that Tempest. A bit unfortunate with the dome that was already out. Hexafire comes through. It's currently 4 versus 5. Currently very low members on the point, but they do have the numbers advantage right now.
This is perfect for Death and Taxes if they can keep up this stagger, if Thiel can't get picks off. And the Princess, oh no, the Dome shields come out from the Princess, but there's a Tempest in response by Bozey. Spunkki is immune in that Ice Block and does manage to wait out the damage from Tempest, but that's exactly what Death and Taxes need to do. They needed to stagger the respawns of Torpedo so they couldn't have a big group of players punch back in as a group, or a fist as it is described in by certain teams during this meta, and that's exactly what they did perfectly in that engagement.
And Custom gets baited into that point. He sees so many stacks there, doesn't take into account that that Tuzkar has his ult, jumps in, pops the Tempest, but isn't able to really get any kills from it. Baited in, unfortunately.
That's the secret. It's 5 times the players, 5 times the damage. All the while, though, Death and Taxes pushing slowly and slowly further forwards. If Torpedo are going to stop Death and Taxes, this is the place to do it. But Spunkki being brought very low is chased by Bird, but doesn't look like Bird actually was looking to follow them or just get out of the area. Thiel now dropping damage from the skies, but all the while, the payload is slowly making its way towards Torpedo's base. Spunkki looks like they have managed to stop it briefly here, but for how long?
Yeah, and all the meanwhile, though, Princess and Thiel doing work in the back, just firing constantly. Thiel picks up Bird, Custom picks up Tuzkar, and they're going to get advantage and take back control of this choke point. It looked a bit wobbly there for Torpedo, as they had positions on the choke point. They just weren't able to slow the advance of Death and Taxes. But right now, setting back up, Death and Taxes looking to push forward as 5 once more.
Let's take a look at Custom's positioning just for a second there as respawns came through. Until Custom saw all of the enemies on the side of Death and Taxes filter through towards the main choke point, Custom stuck around the other choke point on the right-hand side, looking out of Torpedo's base, just to prevent a backdoor like we've seen Custom accomplish before. So great knowledge of what might happen, but he's taken his eyes off it for a moment, and Bird comes around on the backside, immediately dropping a lot of damage, but is likely going to be forced out of here as Custom does have a healing totem available and is dishing damage back out to Bird in response. The payload, however, has been forced forwards. Custom has to go into Ghost Walk form just to stop it and push out a little bit, and Bird's still around the backside, just becoming such a nuisance to Torpedo.
Tuzkar, meanwhile, pushing in. He's set up on the point. They do manage to get the freeze off, and he gets taken down. Bird is on his own in the side. They're trying to push through the middle cave right now, but might not work out for them. Laizy just jumps back down to safety, and the rest of Torpedo are able to hold this one once more.
And Laizy is the perfect pick to hold in this little corridor, because Laizy gets off all of that damage, all of the AoE damage on multiple targets thanks to the potion launcher, and is also able to get directly from the ground level of the map up onto this little platform where he's currently standing using the effects of weightless and wall jumping. Little fact for players that aren't aware: if you stand next to a wall and jump, you jump higher than if you're jumping away from a wall, and as a result you can use that in combination with weightless to reach ledges which you otherwise wouldn't be able to get to, not necessarily in game, just in enemy bases.
Yeah, Bird pushing around from the side again. The whole of the team pushing through this middle cave, however. They're trying to take down Laizy and push it through into overtime. SunCommander gets taken out. 1 second left. Tuzkar gets on it just in time to push it into overtime, but the rest of the team have fallen. Bird and SunCommander down. It's 3 versus 5. Bozey trying to do what he can. Tuzkar gets taken down, and looks like this will be a clean ace for Torpedo as they halt this assault right in its tracks.
Indeed, they do. And whilst we saw a capture point answered back by Death and Taxes, Torpedo still lead 2 points to 0. Taking a quick look at burn cards as the capture point is spawning, likely to see the 4-man wrecker coming out once again from Torpedo, and to counter all of the burst damage on the side of Torpedo, Death and Taxes choose to go for 5 blast shields.
This worked out for them. This worked out well for them last round. They all went for the blast shields, and the focused fire from Torpedo wasn't able to pick up the kills that they wanted in that last fight. It just wasn't enough, because this blast shield's just paying out so well for side of Death and Taxes.
Absolutely, and I mean, If you think about the damage which all the players are dealing and the damage types, Custom is the only one that deals damage that would get affected by Haven. He's the only one that can kind of negate the effects of Blast Shields, and as a result, that's 4 members on the side of Torpedo, as Hold That Thought is a huge ultimate. SunCommander dishes out a lot of damage through these little portals into the middle of outside of Igloo, and Custom pops a Tempest in response. Nothing really gained, and the capture point is just being held so well by Death and Taxes as they pick up the Princess as they dive in, trying to place the Dome Shield. Custom is Ghost Walking now currently, assisted a little bit like Laizy. Big freeze from Spunkki, only picks up 1, but now the point is being held.
Huge ultimate there from Spunkki, the 97-point clutch right there at the end.
Absolutely. That is unbelievable. 1 more second with no members of Torpedo on that capture point, and that would have been a free capture point to Death and Taxes with very little contest. And in all honesty, even though the Princess died in that engagement, placed the Dome Shield down, there was no flamethrower turret, but it protected allies on the point who were able to rush in there. But the return comes back out from the side of Death and Taxes. I saw a chicken go out, but it's just an all-out brawl on the point, and Death and Taxes have the advantage here with the chicken hitting 4 members.
Chicken. That's hit all 5. It hit Thiel in the air as well. This might go in the favor of Death and Taxes. Simsiloo picks up a triple kill. It looks like they might manage to take this one. Custom all on his own, and Death and Taxes take the point.
Simsiloo picks up a quadra kill on that pip. A fantastic ultimate evil mojo coming out there, and Custom, the last to fall, is able to stall out for a moment, assisting his team with, you know, a little bit more of a chance to get set up and get these respawns going. But good grief, Death and Taxes played that textbook. Absolutely textbook. They couldn't have done it better in that engagement.
The chicken from Laizy just only hit 1 member as well due to the... I think that was due to Haven, or Gale, I'm going to say. Yep, there's Gale on the side of Death and Taxes. So the Gale just stopping Laizy's chicken from doing as much as we saw Simsiloo's do in the next few seconds. And now Torpedo having to defend once more. Spunkki gets a huge snowstorm off on most of the team on the payload, but there's no return. They're all just slowed up for a few seconds. Spunkki goes down. The rest of Death and Taxes trying to push up. Custom picks up 1 with that Tempest in the back. 1v1 versus Bozey. SunCommander going in to do what he can to help. He does manage to survive with the help of Ghostwalk, and the rest of the team trying to pick up the kills. He goes down, but Laizy and Thiel pick up return frags.
Simsiloo has to run for their life now, hiding in some stealth grass, which will reveal Bird on their team. Don't want to do that, Simsiloo. Does have to retreat, heal up using the health potion, or the healing potion, and out of combat regen, which of course is present for all champions in Paladins. And now the regroup comes. There's 1 minute and 35 seconds left on the clock, and the payload is almost into Torpedo's base.
It almost rolled in backwards all the way on its own. It was so close.
So if it does that, and nobody's actually gone to backdoor it, do you still consider that a backdoor, or is that just a front door? And
that's just no one was paying attention at that point.
Yep.
Meanwhile, Thiel goes down. Laizy as well. It's 3 versus 5 as they start to make this push to try and get this converted. Princess and Spunkki trying to do what they can. That Gale will stop any freezes going through, so Spunkki can't really help out here much. Bird up in the air, trying to do what he can. Thiel with the cursed arm. Freeze goes through. Doesn't really manage to get up any kills due to that projector. Spunkki goes down. Custom gets 1 of his own, and they're trying to claw this one back on the defense.
Got to take out Bozey here. You have to pick the Grok. If you want to defend this, you have to pick the Grok. You have to pick the Barrack. But all the while, you've got to deal with the damage dealer. Simsiloo, though, is picked off, but a turret's hitting Laizy in the back line. It's just slapping on him without being noticed. Finally is picked up. And that is a successful defense for Torpedo, despite the payload getting very close to the conversion point. So there's one last opportunity for Death and Taxes to push this payload through, and if they do, they'll actually gain the advantage in points, 3-2 over Torpedo, which is the first time I think we're going to see a point advantage over Torpedo in this entire tournament.
Yeah, and they're trying to hold them away. It looks like Death and Taxes realize they can't get anywhere near in the time they have. The zoning control from Torpedo showing through. Death and Taxes, they don't want to give them any more credits or ultimates. They all peel back and leave the payload to run out.
Important to note, looking at ultimate charges, that Thiel did use a cursed arm right at the end of that engagement, so no Androx assault for this next engagement. Also, no snowstorm from Eevee either, sitting at under 50% charge. That'll take a little while to build back up again, but all of Torpedo on those killing sprees are going to have most, if not all, of their burn cards equipped. In fact, Torpedo have a full burn card loadout, as do Death and Taxes. However, Bird the only one not to select other burn cards right now. Don't know if that's a credit issue or if Bird's just not able to do so for some reason.
I don't think he's been getting many kills in comparison to the rest of his team in these fights. So, the credits might not be there for him. He might be a bit starved out for the moment. Look at this, though. The flank coming through. Spunkki and Thiel going straight onto the bird in the back. Don't manage to get him, but they get him very low. The projector on point right now, the rest of them holding him there. There are multiple members low on the side of Death and Taxes. Dome does get dropped on the point. That'll keep them safe for a few more seconds as they heal up with the totem, but that's an ultimate burned at this point. Bird goes up, Cursed Arm comes through, but it just gets ghost walked out. Chicken stalls them out. No. There's a huge Dome on point with the freeze. Bozey tries to do what he can with the Tempest, but he gets clean wiped.
That was incredible. What a comeback, and Bird dropping the ultimate onto Custom as well. Immune by a Ghost Walk just before that fight begins. Should have really saved that and turned his attention onto the point before the Dome Shield had the time to go down. But a fantastic ult-freeze combination coming out from both the Princess and Laizy secures that capture point effectively. For Torpedo, it looks like they're back in this, as there is only a few seconds left for... oh, look at that snowstorm. There's only a few seconds left to get back on the point. And Death and Taxes just slowed by it. They can't use movement abilities whilst in it because of the cripple it applies. And as a result, since they're dismounted due to the damage, they can't get back to the point. Death and Taxes will lose this capture point, going in favor of Torpedo, and the payload is now being pushed towards Death and Taxes' base.
Yeah, Bird trying to get a flank off, but Thiel will also go for the flank and spot him out. Bozey so low, those potions just flying in. Bird does manage to 1v1 against Thiel handily, but Spunkki, meanwhile, picks up Bozey on the side. He's now going to turn his attention onto Bird. Custom and Spunkki just turn onto him. Should be able to pick this one up. And Torpedo with the numbers advantage right now.
Payload is Tuzkar stepped away from the payload for a second to dodge a shot, let it push a few meters further forwards, is now traveling backwards slowly but stalled out by Custom and Spunkki here. With the Princess getting the high ground for their team as well. Two members of Torpedo are in Death and Taxes base right now. Simsiloo very low, hiding out behind the doorway. Thiel looking to pick up a kill here, may be able to do so. One more shot, and that will confirm it. Thiel picking up a kill in the backside. And now the attention will likely turn towards the payload.
Yeah, Thiel comes in. He picks up Bozey on the point as well. Tuzkar's very low. He gets taken down. Meanwhile, the rest of the team were respawning and trying to help inside their base. The ones on the payload trying to hold that were just getting wiped out from behind. The flank comes through. Payload is inches away at this point. The rest of Death and Taxes trying to do what they can.
Thiel popped a Cursed Arm, I think, right at the end there. Looking, 6% on the ultimate charge. Actually used that to confirm. And I'm okay with that. Androx's ultimates don't seem to have the most effect, at the beginning of a capture point fight. That's time for the big AoE fights. It's time for the Dome Shields. It's time for the Tempest when those really start to pay off. The Androx's ultimate, that's great to utilize once all of those shields are down. That's when you want to take advantage of those opportunities, dealing free damage onto a group of players. If you land all 4 shots, it's 2,500 damage. That's enough to wipe almost every champion in the game right now.
And Torpedo with 4 ultimates almost. They don't have the Dome Shield ready just yet. A few more seconds. But actually, honestly, I think that might pay out for them. Delaying it and letting Death and Taxes try and use theirs first might work out better for them. As the fight starts to go down, Bozey taking a bit of damage. Simsiloo, huge poke in the back though.
Absolutely. Thiel on the right-hand side, or rather on one of the sides, depending on which direction we're looking from, tries to get some poke off onto SunCommander, but Thiel is being brought incredibly low, has to dash away. All this while, though, Torpedo are gaining a capture point advantage as the Princess is setting up shop and setting up a picnic blanket on this capture point. Unlikely to see them get away from it unless Death and Taxes push in with a full group, but with SunCommander being so low, forced to use out-of-combat regen to heal up for so long, it's going to be difficult to get back on there without any risk. I mean, you step off for a second and Torpedo will have it.
Zoning Tempest was used, so we've only got Laizy's ultimate, the Evil Mojo, and the Dome coming through. They're all engaging onto the point. Bird. There goes the Dome. That's going to just wipe them out. The Tempest, however, gets through and doesn't get cancelled at all. Bozey doing some serious work. Spunkki and Custom, the only ones left on the point, trying to do what they can. Evil Mojo does not connect on the honor. Spunkki gets a double kill. He's looking for the triple. Picks it up. That's the game.
What a game. That was almost a clean retake there. I think it would have gone differently, however. We saw a dome shield get popped by the princess just at the last second as Bird used the cursed arm ultimate on Androxus. And so all of that damage was just soaked up by the shield, was immune, and perhaps things might have gone differently if that was just a second earlier or a few seconds later. But unfortunately, Bird did get picked in that engagement, and GG to Torpedo as they do take game 1 of this best of 5. Taking a quick look at the scoreboard, let's do a brief breakdown. In actual fact, Simsiloo, the only player so far to come close to Laizy in pip damage this tournament, if I'm not mistaken.
So close as well on Laizy. 1k away. Almost the 100k dream again. But again, the pip
almost
players.
Everybody's player damage. It's
99k,
phenomenal.
80k.
And people were worried that when From Above was made a specialty card and couldn't be used in combination with Masterful, the pip's damage would go down.
I think it's a lot to do with the fact that a lot of players right now just stack up, and you know there is that projector, which sure it means the damage doesn't really go through, but it's still the damage is splashing onto all of them.
And that's just perfect food for these AoE based champions with their AoE weapon shots, Pip and Eevee. It's perfect for them, and we don't really talk a great deal about Chain Lightning, as I personally find that Chain Lightning is more of a hindrance than a help in the current state of the game right now. It doesn't deal enough damage to be useful to use on a group of enemies unless you're going to apply some sort of effect to them. And as a result, we do see Torpedo take game 1 in that best of 5, as we previously said. Stay tuned for more, and we'll be joining you with game 2 in just a moment.
Hello and welcome back everyone to the next game of this best of 5 series. In the finals, Torpedo versus Death and Taxes. On the left side of the screen we have Death and Taxes Tuzkar on Barracks, SunCommander on Ruckus, Bozey on Grok, Bird on Androxus, and Simsiloo on Pip.
Comparatively, on the right-hand screen of this time, we have Torpedo, Thiel running that Androxus, the Princess, Barrack, Spunkki on the Eevee you've known to love and really be terrified of, Custom on Grok, and Laizy once again on this Pip. This one is game 2 out of a set of 5 games of a best of 5. Let's go. Capture point has spawned on Igloo in the midpoint this time, and initial aggression seems to be going in favor of Death and Taxes.
They go a bit aggressive, but they don't get anything off. Their flank is starting to come through. Some poke comes through from Torpedo onto a lot of them. Tuzkar taken down, first blood. Torpedo, man advantage. Are they going to look to pressure it and push this now, though?
They do indeed, as all of Death and Taxes mount up around the back, but are caught out by Thiel and Spunkki on the backside. Spunkki on that kill with onto Tuzkar. Perfect assassination. Blink, freeze, unfreeze, shot 1, shot 2, dead. Wormhole blink out, and Spunkki picking up another kill into Bozey this time. Capture point sitting at 60 on the register so far. Tuzkar poking their head around takes a lot of damage in poke, as they should not be there without support from their team, but the support is coming back. Bird around the backside of Torpedo looks to drop some damage onto Thiel, is forced into a reversal and is taken out by a counter reversal.
Huge chicken on point, however. Actually, another counter chicken comes back, but cancelled out very quickly by the Gale, I think. And the rest of Torpedo wiped despite a 4-man chicken.
That is one important thing to note, is that the Gale card, Gale 4, which reduces crowd control by... Not Gale?
Not Gale. It was just very short. There just wasn't any damage to deal back with it, and they wiped it out very quickly.
Oh, I see. Sometimes, okay, one thing we should note about Gale, either way, because Bozey is actually running that, if you enter the totem radius, you should actually come out of chicken form of that, because it does provide that crowd control reduction. But look at Torpedo up on the high ground. Laizy dishing out damage onto Simsiloo is forced backwards now, actually into the base of Death and Taxes. Spunkki diving on the backside, drops damage onto Bozey, trying to bait out the Ghost Walk. Actually freezes, and Custom gets the kill there. That's Grok down on the side of Death and Taxes. Laizy in a lot of trouble in the base of Death and Taxes, though, is killed, but all the time the payload is being forced further and further forward as Bird gets picked up.
They just buy themselves some time there. Laizy was in a very poor position, but he knew it, and he just tried to buy as much time as he can. He even used the chicken just to keep himself alive a few more seconds. Spunkki dives in, gets down Tuzkar. It's 3 versus 4 on this push. They're taking it very slowly, though, and they know the respawns are coming through. Bird is indeed back, but Laizy comes and joins the rest of his team. SunCommander taken down by Thiel. Bozey all on his own on the point, on the payload, gets taken down. Tuzkar trying to do what he can, Bird gets sniped out of the sky by Thiel. It's 2 versus 5. Laizy almost drops but gets away just in time. Tuzkar frozen and
Tuzkar.
taken down.
The focus that comes out during on a frozen target is absolutely incredible. The champions on the side of Torpedo are all but one burst champions. So if a player gets frozen and a player gets targeted and there's no shield to protect them, they just evaporate. There's no other way of stating it. They just disappear. It is incredible and devastating.
And
right
the
now.
thing is, we've seen in the previous game, they all went blast shields on the side of Death and Taxes, and that managed to turn things around for them. This time, that last round was such a clean sweep for Torpedo. There's only 2 blast shields on the side of Death and Taxes. Bozey and Simsiloo are the only ones really protected.
Only 2 burn cards. That's the shocking element. That is only 2 burn cards on the side of Death and Taxes, and now they're fighting an uphill battle as that damage won't be reduced at all. They do get some of the high ground, coming around and flanking, trying to get behind Torpedo. Tuzkar does go up and places a barricade, but it's frozen immediately. The Princess actually popping a very, very questionable dome shield in the backline, but it appears that SunCommander did actually pop the Hexafire ult there, and that dome shield saved his life. The Princess in a lot of trouble now, being brought very low, fighting 1 versus several 1 versus 3 up the top there, and now the capture point going in favor of Death and Taxes.
It was such a good idea there from Torpedo, actually, with that dome. The issue is the dome was popped, and then they thought they were safe to push out after the chicken ended. And just as they started pushing out, that's when SunCommander popped the Hexafire. They didn't kill him. They weren't inside the shield. They all got mowed down in that alleyway, and now they have to make a retake. Huge chicken, however. Thiel and Laizy pick up 2 kills, blow them up. They've got no blast shields, and that's very evident in this one.
But they do have a dome shield. Tuzkar has a dome shield. He's able to shield it. There's 92 on the capture point. The Princess dives in. Custom dives in. Custom needs to be the one to stick onto that capture point. The objective has been lost. Despite the burst damage coming out from the side of Laizy there, the capture point actually went in favor of Death and Taxes. Fantastic return cap, evening up the points slightly. It is now 1 capture point to Death and Taxes and 2 to Torpedo. This could be equalized completely if Death and Taxes can convert this payload. Everybody pushing out from the base slightly. Payload is being pushed further and further forwards, but on the backside, Spunkki looking to delay it for just a moment. Is fighting 1 versus Bozey, gets a huge freeze off and just stalls the payload out for a few seconds longer, is forced to blink away into safety, and Bozey going to be pushing outwards with the rest of their team, trying to break down the barricade, which Torpedo are all hiding behind. Chain Lightning hits a lot of players, but just doesn't deal enough damage to be relevant, and the payload all the while slowly pushed up forwards. Death and Taxes healing up using the healing totem. Bird the only one low on their team, if I'm not mistaken. And now Torpedo looking to advance onto the other set of high ground and try and control this space a bit better. Choke points being controlled quite nicely by Torpedo, but being broken. Spunkki now the one to sit and defend the cart, as Spunkki can soak a lot of damage, being a small hitbox, a small target to hit, and also able to blink in and out of danger where necessary. Blinks up top, does get a fantastic ultimate off, but is picked up almost immediately, and Death and Taxes is just running a train over Torpedo right now. They don't seem to be stopping. They don't seem to be pausing for anything. Death and Taxes are pushing into the base uncontested. Respawns from Torpedo are coming back out, and it's going to be a last-ditch effort to stop this. There is a great shield and a freeze coming out from Spunkki, looking to delay Death and Taxes for a moment, but the emitter from SunCommander is keeping everybody safe. Tuzkar is the one who's brought low. On the other side, though, the Princess has popped a barricade up, and Torpedo are looking to wrestle control back over this particular engagement right now. Good grief, and there we see Death and Taxes getting picked off 1 by 1. Bozey trying to run away, likely be picked up, unable to escape the area here. Spunkki dropping a lot of damage in that engagement, but Custom getting credit for 2 kills there. And the payload, with 56 seconds left to push into the base, is in a critical position, very, very close to Torpedo's base. If Torpedo want to retain their 1-point advantage, they need to stall it here and not let it get converted, and avoid burning ultimates if possible. Taking a quick look at the scoreboard, ultimates are charging up on the side of Death and Taxes quite nicely. But Bird has a relatively low ult charge right now. Bird needs to use this time. It's unlikely that they're going to be able to push in and push the payload to completion. Bird should use this time to farm up ult percentage and get that ultimate, that accursed arm online to devastate the team at the next capture point. Likely to see that happen as the payload gets pushed further and further backwards. I expect to see Death and Taxes choosing to back off in this. Simsiloo Simsiloo able to escape. Killing spree comes out from Custom. Custom is unstoppable so far, and the defense was successful. GG to Torpedo.
An enemy siege engine has been destroyed.
Next capture point is spawning ultimates largely charged across the board for Death and Taxes. Burn cards coming out. Once again, we see the 5-man blast shields come out, where comparatively there are 3 with Wrecker. Spunkki electing not to go Wrecker this particular time, and instead Master Riding's coming out for almost everybody.
Capture point has spawned.
Slight technical difficulties going on. We're just going to refresh Discord. And there we go, everything should be back up and running. Unfortunately, one of our casters has been suffering some technical difficulties and has disconnected for the time being, but a large chunk of ultimates blown there on the catch point as Bozey is wiped out. Big Tempest came out from Custom. Custom gets credit for 1 kill, and advantage going to Torpedo here as Tuzkar is forced away. Thiel chases up onto the balconies, manages to grab a kill onto Simsiloo, and this is an uncontested point now for Team Torpedo. And Torpedo pushing out Spunkki to zone. The Princess is slowly coming back, and it's important to note that there is currently no barrack on the point for a defense if the remainder of Death and Taxes look to push in, which they should do, but they're also waiting on respawns. They're staggered slightly, and as a result, capture is now 65 points in favor, 70 points in favor of Torpedo. It's going to be tough for Death and Taxes to make their way back on. Barricade has been popped, dashing around. SunCommander jumps straight onto the point in combination with Tuzkar. They both pop their ultimates. Hexafire comes out, wipes out almost nobody. 4 members of Torpedo still alive. Only 1 kill went down. That was the Princess. Poor Princess has only just respawned, and now it is Death and Taxes that are once again wrestled back point control from Torpedo. Torpedo have to push back into the point very, very soon. If the Princess gets back in time, they may be able to, but it's looking dire for them right now as the capture points are about to even up. They have indeed even up, but the Princess from the backside able to place a barricade, gets just onto the point, but no, placed the barricade slightly too far back, and the capture point went in favor of Death and Taxes once again for the 2nd time in a row. Double kill coming out for, who was that? Laizy, perhaps? Laizy picked up, though. Spunkki getting a kill onto Bozey. And now, once again, Torpedo are on the defense here, looking to back up before they potentially engage in these choke points. Going to be setting up on the high ground is the Princess on this barrack. And whilst the payload decides to push itself all the way down this path, Death and Taxes look to group up around corners, use the cover of the actual corner, not just the barricade, to their advantage, and start to chip down Torpedo, which they're gonna have to do if they want to have a chance at capturing this payload. It is 2 points to 2. The payload has reached the choke point and has been stopped in its tracks by Custom, but Thiel coming around looks to block out any aggression with an accursed arm onto Bozey, and Spunkki picking up a kill onto SunCommander there. SunCommander goes down. No more emitter shield for the side of Death and Taxes, and the payload is totally stalled. You can hear a Tempest coming out from Custom as Custom manages to pick up a couple of kills. Laizy getting credit for both of them there in that instance. And whilst Custom did burn a Tempest ultimate, not on the capture point, but on the defense, and fairly advanced in the defense, it does mean that Custom, with 130 seconds left on the clock, will be able to actually mount enough of a defense here with his team and load up enough ult charge that they're able to have Tempest up and available again for the next engagement. Bird, though, being very sneaky, hiding around the backside, is spotted out now by Laizy as they started channeling pip shots down towards him, but Laizy is forced to change their focus, and Bird just all the while sitting here, just waiting in that third-person mode with the horse for an opportunity to come out and strike briefly. Gets a couple of shots on the Custom, but is immediately forced to retreat, as has been noticed out by Spunkki and Thiel. Thiel dives up top. Spunkki with a huge freeze on the Bozey and SunCommander. Bozey almost taken out there. SunCommander very low as well, does have an emitter up and available in just a moment, should be able to survive all this, and the payload has been pushed very slightly further forwards towards Torpedo's base. Payload is going closer again as Tuzkar as the only one left on the payload. Custom could contest for a second, but Custom will fall. This looks like it's going to be a second capture point conversion or payload conversion in the favor of Death and Taxes here. If they do this, will take the advantage over Torpedo, but the ultimate comes out from Bird, looking to drop damage onto all the remaining members of Torpedo, and it's Spunkki and the Princess, the only ones left on the payload now. They have to stay there. They can't move. Custom has returned, but all of Torpedo are unable to move, and in fact, Custom gets picked off No, Custom left still alive. It's the Princess, the barrack for Torpedo, which gets picked off there in that engagement. Simsiloo left alive. Payload is being pushed backwards slightly. Spunkki blinks up to the edge, drops down onto Simsiloo, looks to drop some damage, but Simsiloo able to get out of dodge with Weightless and relocates. No chance of this payload being converted. It is 2 points to 2. Death and Taxes are tied equal.
Engine has been destroyed.
We're just loading up to the third capture point. 20 seconds to go right now. Capture point is going to spawn in a random location. And of course, taking a quick look at Burncast before we begin. Master Ridings pretty much across the board. We've got a Quadra record set up once again on the side of Torpedo. A couple of Master Ridings here and there, and a lot of Blast Shields coming back. In fact, 3 Blast Shields as well coming out on the side of Torpedo. Spunkki maybe getting picked off a little bit early, decides to go into that as well. Capture point has spawned in Igloo, the midpoint for this engagement. And immediately, it would appear that Simsiloo is going around on one side of flank, but actually regroups up with their team, just taking a longer pathway, using Weightless to get up top. And this time, it is Torpedo who are on the point. And instead, Death and Taxes choose to set up in a choke point, dish some damage down. But Spunkki going around the backside gets a freeze off onto Simsiloo. Simsiloo just obliterated by Spunkki. And now SunCommander looks to answer back, but Spunkki is able to blink back out into safety with Wormhole. And all the while, the capture point now reaching 60 points out of 100 is being captured by Torpedo. There's a barricade, goes back up on the capture point. Doesn't look like Death and Taxes are in a good position to contest this, and no, they certainly aren't, as throughout all of this, ults were held by Torpedo. Now, pop, there comes the Dome Shield, there goes the Tempest. The damage coming through is absolutely incredible. It's devastating and wipes out Death and Taxes, as the third capture point, or the third point of this game out of 5, goes in favor of Torpedo. If they can convert this payload, it remains that they will have 1 capture point left to win out this game, and well, advance the next game as to the one for all of the marbles, as it is a best of 5 this final set. Payload being pushed in, all the while high ground advantage going currently to the side of Death and Taxes, but I can hear Spunkki flying up on Eevee, does go up, hide behind the barricade, looking to drop some shots onto all of these members that are stationed there. Bird from the backside though, or rather from the side, comes around, goes up into the air, drops the Accursed Arm ultimate onto several. Bozey getting credit for a kill onto the Princess there. The payload has been stalled out successfully.
Enemy
Death and Taxes need to stay with that and push it backwards slightly now at this point to really push it backwards into the devastating choke point, but Spunkki in the same place that Bird was moments ago, hides behind, and no, Spunkki, no! Oh please, we have to be watching Spunkki now as the payload is being pushed forwards. In fact, the payload hasn't been noticed. It's been noticed now by Bozey and SunCommander as they both come out and find Spunkki. A freeze hits only 2, and Spunkki in a lot of trouble, is able to blink away, get out of dodge, but Spunkki very nearly got away with the backdoor in that engagement. And now the damage as well from Thiel, the Accursed Arm comes out, Thiel picks himself up a double kill. Bozey, the only one left contesting, has been brought very low, is able to heal up a little bit with the healing totems, but the payload is wiped out by Custom in that engagement, and now the payload, it's 5 men versus 3. It's 5 versus 4 as the respawns come through, but the payload push is certainly an advantage of Torpedo right now. Spunkki blinks up high, goes into the backside, freezes out SunCommander, who's in a lot of trouble. The emitter is down, SunCommander is very low, is picked up by the Princess there, and now Tuzkar dodging and weaving, using the rocket boots to just stay alive and pick up some healing from the healing totem. It looks like Death and Taxes are able to regain control of this push and are able to force Torpedo back, but the payload is so close. If Torpedo push in as 5, as a group of 5, potentially burn ultimates here and end up converting this payload, it's going to be very difficult for Death and Taxes to come back from. 45 seconds left on the clock in just a second. Once again, high ground is being controlled by Death and Taxes. It is the home ground. Spunkki looking for a potential flank, looking for a potential backdoor, is spotted out by Bird, now trading shots, and Bird getting the better of this engagement heavily as Bird is able to jump shot, whereas Spunkki has to confirm those direct hits, which is difficult to do with a slower projectile like Eevee's projectile. Custom pushes in slightly further forwards just to get close to the payload, and it looks like this one is going to be going to overtime unless Thiel has an ultimate available to wipe out the enemy team. Bozey the only one left contesting the payload. SunCommander forces up towards Laizy. Laizy has to is forced out of the engagement using Weightless to escape, but now SunCommander is in a bit of trouble. There's 2 members of Death and Taxes on the payload, but a huge ultimate and blink from Eevee wipes out one of them. Good job by Spunkki, but Bird quickly answers back with a return kill onto Spunkki. And as a result, it looks like it is indeed going to overtime. Torpedo's Custom desperately sitting on the payload, waiting for his teammates to respawn, but unless they can pull off an incredible double kill now, triple kill, can Thiel, it would appear that this game is, or rather this defense has been successful in favor of Death and Taxes.
Your siege engine has been destroyed.
And just so that people are aware of what's going on, as I said previously, my co-caster for today, Tattle, experienced some technical difficulties, and the spectator mode, as it is in a very early state, did end up crashing. Rather than have him try and resync mid-match and pause it for all of you, I, Vox, will be taking this solo just for the last couple of capture points in this game, and Tattle will be back for the next game of this set. Burn cards once again coming out, all very similar. We're starting to see develops coming through as players are starting to be able to save up credits from previous rounds, but the flank is huge from Thiel and Spunkki, looking to catch out Bird on the backside. Does manage to drop a freeze onto Bird, but Bird actually uses the dash in enough time, and a Cursed Arm comes out, dropping down damage onto Death and Taxes, who are all grouped up, but it's not quite enough. In fact, I think Bird managed to reflect some of that, and Torpedo's flank went a little bit south for them. They're no disadvantage right now, but the high ground absolutely is going in favor of Death and Taxes. SunCommander drops the ultimate, picks up Thiel in this engagement. Can't fight through the shield, the dome shield that was placed, and in fact, since there is another dome shield there, it makes it even more difficult for the aggressing team, Death and Taxes, to see exactly where they should be firing, where those gaps between shields are, and Torpedo retain control of this capture point. It's at 71 points now. Both teams are heading back. Bozey has to get in here and go walk onto the capture point, or it's all over in this engagement, and they're going to have to set up for a defense again. No, Torpedo, get the capture point. Looks like it's going to be another payload defense from the boys in blue this time. They do set up nice and early, looking to potentially get a spawn camp going if they're able to, but Thiel wants none of it. Dives into the air, drops some damage off, is poked out heavily, though, by both SunCommander and Bozey. Tuzkar also able to confirm those shots, those air shots, with Barrack's rifle having a very fast projectile speed. And Bird being taken out in a duel with Thiel there, gets shot out of the air, but Tuzkar answers back with a rifle shot onto Thiel, getting a clean kill, wiping out a member of the attacking team in this situation. But Spunkki blinks in. Spunkki's looking for a freeze onto Simsiloo. Doesn't quite blink in far enough. Chooses to wormhole back again to safety. Stay with their team. And now Bozey in a bit of trouble. Forced through the stealthcraft. Forced right out of the engagement. Is going to have to heal up with Healing Totem. And mounts up using the out-of-combat regeneration to their advantage. Custom here takes the high ground. Drops some damage onto the turret if they can, potentially. Has dropped a totem as well to stay alive. But I mean, Customs doesn't appear to be actually doing anything. No, Custom's beam was just invisible for a moment there, and Custom does get a kill onto Simsiloo. Thiel right up in the air, was being pressured by a turret for a moment. The turret has been taken down. Spunkki dives in deep, gets some damage off to Tuzkar, but it's not quite enough. The payload has almost reached Death and Tax's base. Once again, this is it. If this payload conversion goes through, Torpedo will take game 2 off of Death and Taxes. This has to be the defense we've been waiting for. This has to be the defense we're looking for. But whilst we're trying to hold out for that, I mean, Spunkki blinks in, and all this while, Thiel and Spunkki were inside Death and Tax's base, just dropping damage from the sidelines, and that is a successful payload conversion. That is a successful game 2 and a win for Torpedo. Torpedo are up 2-0 over Death and Taxes in this best of 5. The next game is for all of the marbles. I'm just going to take a quick look at the end game scoreboard here. Lots of damage coming out from both teams, but once again, Laizy top of the charts on that pip, sitting at a score of 2.0k. Grok, the only one in the game, Custom, able to top that with 2.1, but Laizy with an incredible 115k player damage. Absolutely phenomenal damage they're putting out. Simsiloo this time not coming as close as they perhaps would have liked. Going into the next game, a couple of things that we might want to see differently. In all honesty, I'm going to say ditch the Ruckus. If you've got a pocket pick or a pocket strategy here that isn't Ruckus, run with it, because Ruckus is becoming more of a hindrance than a help, since those emitter shields, which only have a limited effect on your allies, are just enabling Wrecker to deal more and more damage. And with that said, we'll be getting into game 3 in just a moment. We'll see you in a couple of minutes. Champions of the Realm, welcome back! My name is Vox, and this one is potentially for all the marbles. Torpedo currently lead Death and Taxes 2-0, so this one could be the knockout game in the best of 5 we've been waiting for. But Death and Taxes do have the chance to answer back. Will it be gold or game 4? Let's find out in just a moment. On the left-hand side of your spectator UI, on the left-hand side of the scoreboard, we have Thiel on Androxus, Custom on Grok, the Princess on Barrack, Laizy once again on this pip, and Spunkki on Eevee. No changes there.
And of course, on the other side of things, their opponent's Death and Taxes looking to make a reverse sweep. Bozey on Grok, SunCommander on Ruckus, Simsiloo on Pip, Tuzkar on Barrack, and Bird on Drogos.
We have a Drogos. It's gonna be the next big thing, I'm telling you. But immediately, Drogos is eliminated. Drogos has been shot out of the sky. Spunkki gets credit for that kill. The Princess picking up a kill onto Bozey.
Thiel very low right now. SunCommander tried to come around the back and get both him and Spunkki. Tuzkar gets Thiel at least. Spunkki looks like he'll be able to make it out of this one. Laizy picking in the meantime onto SunCommander in the back.
Now it is reaching that critical point around 60 points. We tend to see respawns starting to come through from the initial point fight, and there is a chance for Death and Taxes to make it back onto the point. Bird could potentially deal a lot of damage out here, blasting all of Torpedo away from the capture point, but it doesn't look like he's in the position to do so. And no, the capture point actually goes in favor of Torpedo.
Yeah, great control by them, picking up the kills that they needed, and right now they're trying to pick the kills up as the rest of Death and Taxes tried to peel back. Shots going left and right. Tuzkar very low behind that barricade. Spunkki right behind him, blinks back out once more, gets that frag and gets to safety.
I didn't even see that. Spunkki has just been on point with these blinks today. It's been incredible. And and Bozey pins it between both Laizy and Thiel. That's not a situation you want to be in. Does get picked up. More kills going the way of Torpedo as SunCommander in a very bad position now. Isolated and alone. In fact, is SunCommander's running gunship? I'm done. We're done. We're done.
They're trying to counter the fact that this wrecker was just destroying this projector idea they had on the ruckus, and unfortunately the gunship isn't actually working out for them. He goes in, he's going in really heavy this time, however gets Laizy very low but backs out last second. Meanwhile, the rest of the team closing around on the sides, Spunkki and Thiel trying to go for a flank, leaving Custom alone on the payload. No frags either way though.
Death and Taxes are holding strong, though. The payload has been pushed just out of the main choke point, but another choke point remains. Spunkki, how are you getting out of those fights, Spunkki? Spunkki managing to blink out of the way of a turret shot, being targeted by Bird now. Bird actually going in to try and pick up Spunkki, but just completely oblivious to Thiel, or not bothered about Thiel, gets picked up there, and in fact, Spunkki makes it out alive once again. And now Bozey and Simsiloo left defending the payload. Payload should be pushed forwards in a second, but here's SunCommander to the rescue, using the gunship card to the best of his ability, is able to push forwards nicely and secures a defense.
Torpedo not getting any real kills from the flank in time, really. They managed to find Bird, but at the same time, Laizy and Custom 3 were picked up on the front of the fight. Spunkki going in aggressive, doesn't actually get a freeze onto anyone, drops himself in onto the payload, and lots of damage going back and forth right now. Princess trying to do what he can. That Lugi's going to poke him around the corner. Lots of good arc shots from Simsiloo, but he'll get pushed out. This should give Torpedo the ability to push up on this high ground like they hope.
Especially now that Bozey's just been picked off, and once again SunCommander is actually around the backside of the whole of Torpedo, looking to focus down Laizy. Laizy has the potential for a return kill here, actually uses Weightless to get out of dodge and get away, as well as a healing potion, and SunCommander lightly picked here. Credit for that kill goes to Spunkki. All the while, Custom pushing the payload forwards. It has been stopped now by 3 members of Death and Taxes, but it's dangerously close to their base. Only 15 seconds left on the clock at this point, however, and it really comes down to whether Torpedo want to pull out or whether they want to take it to overtime and potentially make this a conversion.
They're going to have to go all in for the overtime here. Custom 3 is very low as well, but Spunkki and Laizy doing damage in the backside. Custom going to help join them there. Spunkki, no health, dodges, doesn't manage to get the last dodge out, and he drops as well. 3 versus 5 right now. Respawns coming in, regenerating all that health inside their base as well, and looks like Torpedo managed to hold it into overtime, but are not going to manage to convert this one.
No, I saw Laizy back off there for a second. They did come back in for a healing potion at the rest of their team, but unfortunately Torpedo unable to convert that, so only 1 point on the scoreboard so far for Torpedo. Almost a clean slate. Death and Taxes have comeback potential here. Looking at the ult charges though, almost all of Torpedo, with the exception of Spunkki, who will have a full ultimate charge by the time they reach the capture point, are at full ultimate charge. And as a result, this is going to be a bit of an interesting capture point to fight over.
I'd assume as well Death and Taxes also are all running full ults, because, you know, I didn't see any come out there at the end.
Oh, check out Bird really quick. We're going to see if Bird ults out of base again, as I suspect they will do, as the capture point is going to spawn in just a moment. Or rather, it appears we have a pause on the board. And whilst we're waiting for that pause just to go through, let's take a quick look at the different builds coming out from different players. Talk to me about this Ruckus build, Tattle. Tell me what the advantages of Gunship over the Emitter build are.
So the thing with Emitter and Projector is that if you're going for the Emitter-based build, as we saw, it's been the favorite in the meta for quite some time, and teams have had a lot of issues with it. But Torpedo in the previous games showing that this stack of Wrecker is just demolishing it and countering the play completely. So Death and Taxes at this point taking a different turn to Ruckus. They're going for this gunship build, which is more focused on dealing damage during that hover ability. You're no longer a utility character who can provide lots of damage with the Hexafire and shielding for all of your team, but you're more of a run into the enemy's face with gunship up, with that hover up, and just mow someone down.
Especially since using fuel reserves for the duration of hover is increased by 160%. That is a long time to be running around dishing out damage to people. Quick check-in before the catch point spawns. Bird running the new card for Drogo's an old pip card, Masterful, which each consecutive hit against the target increases your damage by 2% of their max HP for 3 seconds, stacking up to 3 times, potentially devastating with the Salvo ability, which loads all of Drogo's rockets into the clip to be fired in quick succession, and immediately spunkki being brought very low is able to blink out to safety, but could be picked up here if they don't get out of dodge immediately.
And he's low, but he's going to be out of this fight until he regens at this point, so it's 4 versus 5. They're all slowly getting pushed into corner. spunkki gets a nice Ice Storm down, picks up Bird, but gets traded back 1 for 1. Bozey, taken very low, has to pop the Ghost Walk in the meantime. SunCommander trying to go toe-to-toe with Thiel, pops the hover, just about managed to do the damage, and Miss is going to keep him alive. Custom with a huge Tempest, picked up 3, picks up the triple kill. Thiel does get taken down by SunCommander in the back, but the great Tempest and point play by Custom wins them this one for now.
For now, at least, as respawns are starting to come through, we can see that 2 members of Torpedo are left on the capture point, whilst spunkki and Laizy have both been set out for zoning. Laizy in a characteristic pit position, dropping down damage down the long hallways, where the effects of Graviton 4 mean that his shots will actually cover the entirety of the hallway.
spunkki with a huge freeze there, gets all the burn off, and there's the dome as well. 2-man chicken, but Bozey goes in, gets the Tempest off. Even with that dome, they were able to get the Tempest chicken combo off, and they wiped the point. 98 points for Torpedo in this one. They just need to get control back for a few more seconds, but at the same time, Death and Taxes, they're looking to take this one.
spunkki has to go in big and make a freeze like they just did. Thiel now on the capture point, going to be contesting for a second. Laizy gets in, and the objective actually goes in favor of Torpedo there. It looks like Death and Taxes stepped off for just long enough and got when one of their members was wiped out for Torpedo to remain on the capture point, retain control, and get that capture objective. And now SunCommander, immediately burning Hexafire, uses it what appears to be for nothing, and now Bird is the target focused. Bird is in a lot of trouble. Let's get picked off out the air by Thiel here, as they do, and Torpedo once again charging down the main hallways, looking to break through these choke points before the payload gets anywhere near.
And spunkki just causing chaos in the back as well. Jumps in, picks up Simsiloo, and he's just so much of an issue to deal with right now for the side of Death and Taxes. They can't shut him down. He's just always in their backline. And we saw the times they focus him, they just get punished so severely on the front side of things. Simsiloo taken very low on this high ground. He eventually goes down to Princess. SunCommander's behind them, but they're just ignoring him at this point. They don't even care. They're pushing the payload all the time as well. spunkki takes down Bozey at the payload. Tuzkar trying to contest now, but he'll also get frozen and taken down very shortly.
spunkki with a double kill off that kill onto Tuzkar on the payload. spunkki now blinking in as well, looking for Simsiloo on the backline. It is a close duel. Both members are very low, but with support from Torpedo, Customs just pushing this payload almost to completion, as there is a great distraction from spunkki. Bird has to dip into base to gain some health quickly, but Torpedo are flooding into Death and Taxes base. They've taken the high ground. They're quite happy to sit there and just deal damage from a distance, and Bird, without the expectorate, increased explosion distance and increased knockback, isn't able to push them away from the push Torpedo away from the payload as effectively as we have seen Drogo's do in a previous game.
And kills just going in favor of Torpedo right now. The respawns are allowing Death and Taxes to put up a defense here, but the kills still going in favor of Torpedo. Bozey taken very low on the point against 2 members. They do manage to get Thiel. A good freeze comes through from spunkki, catches Bozey and SunCommander. Ice Storm comes through. That's a double for spunkki. Custom picks up the third. 2 members left on this cut. Bird taken very low, has to fly away. Simsiloo also taken down, and that's a conversion for Torpedo. 3 points so far.
Look at the respawn on SunCommander. Bird goes up into the air, drops the salvo damage, misses everybody, and by removing himself from the capture point means that the payload is just pushed to completion with no contest there, as an ally was wiped out. In fact, let's go ahead and take a quick look over at Over at the blue team of Torpedo, as they're getting ready to set up and getting ready to push out towards this next capture point, the capture point is spawning and will be spawning on the left-hand side of the minimap coming out from Torpedo's base in the mines capture point. This is one where Death and Taxes have proven themselves to be quite devastating at before, but Torpedo currently 3 points to 0 in this third game for all of the marbles are retaining control. They're going to be shut down anytime soon.
4 ultimates as well, but look at this. Tuzkar and SunCommander push up so aggressively. Laizy does pop the chicken on SunCommander. 1v1ing against him does take him out. Meanwhile, the point fight, there is just so much going in the favor of Torpedo when they don't have those members. They were split up. Torpedo pushed forward as a group. They leave Laizy on his own to deal with SunCommander, knowing that they'll win the fight without him. And Torpedo taking point control already.
Absolutely, and now Spunkki looking to zone does distract Simsiloo, misses the visual on him, but doesn't take really any damage. Gets a freeze off, is immune by the use of movement abilities, and will blink in back towards their team just to chase down SunCommander. Pops ultimate. SunCommander is very low. Damage is coming in from Laizy, up uncontested on the balcony.
Thiel with the reversal walks in front of him, catches all of the Hexafire, bounces it back, gets 2 kills of his own, and the rest of the team clean up. Perfect catch there by Thiel. Just jumps directly in front of SunCommander with that repulsor and just stands there.
That is absolutely phenomenal Androxus play, and that is one of the reasons why we've seen Androxus reversal builds sometimes picked up instead of the new edition of Heads Will Roll or the older edition of increased attack speed, which we can see that Thiel is running this time with Quick Draw. Does the Heads Will Roll build a little bit inconsistent, as it does mean that you'll only get that additional 20% damage when you hit somebody in the head as a headshot. In a game that's as fast-paced and as fast movement-based as Paladins, it's quite difficult to do. That being said, SunCommander on the backside looks to mow everybody down, but doesn't actually manage to pick up much for their trouble, and now they're very out of position, popping a emitter just to keep themselves safe as Custom goes hunting for a ruckus.
Princess taken very low as well. Simsiloo jumps down. He's got 2 of them there, pops them as well. Close range with that potion, just instant wipe on them. And Torpedo having issues dealing with SunCommander in the backline. They were getting poked out on the front, peeling back to regen, but they running straight into SunCommander's waiting arms on that ruckus as he picks up those kills and just chases them away from the fight. Simsiloo, though, bit too far forwards, manages to make it out. Thiel dies for their efforts. Spunkki manages to get him in the end, but 1-for-1 trade.
Bob and weave from Spunkki is absolutely incredible there. I've never seen somebody move like that in the air with Eevee. That's actually fantastic to watch, but SunCommander has located them, forced to blink away as Eevee and SunCommander is left finding nothing. Thiel drops out of danger, and Spunkki goes around, looks for Bird, looks for aggression onto Bird, should get a freeze off in just a moment. A couple of shots later, and that is Bird to fall. Now Spunkki's got that backdoor potential, not to backdoor the payload, but to, get behind the enemy team and look for assassinations. Is spotted out by Simsiloo and now is in a lot of trouble as SunCommander pushes in with that gunship hover, but is able to soar away.
Yep, and now Torpedo starting to push up. Thiel picks up SunCommander. Simsiloo taken down as well. Bird and Bozey, the only 2 left on this defense, trying to do what they can. This could very much be it. Bird pops the Dragon Punch! Gets it onto Thiel. That's 1 down. He's looking to make the turn from this. They've got the numbers advantage now. They just need to hold out for a few moments longer. Bird gets frozen. He gets popped. Spunkki picks that one up. Princess taken very low. SunCommander going to get that, and it looks like Death and Taxes with that Dragon Punch. One Punch Man goes in and secures the defense.
Laizy in trouble in the enemy team's base. Death and Taxes does get taken down. Is that the first time that we've seen a Dragon Punch connect and actually make a kill this tournament? I feel like we must have missed that in a game we didn't spectate.
No, I would be surprised if it was actually used in that way with how we were seeing it used previously. And defense successful, so...
Great play. Absolutely fantastic. And the best thing about that, Bird goes in, gets the Dragon Punch, is in a position using the Dragon Punch that he can immediately hop up onto a ledge and get out of danger.
Yep.
Because using that Dragon Punch to dive into a team of enemies, that is not something you want to do. You can only go up from there using thrust. And by doing so, you're putting yourself in a position just to be shot down from midair unless you've got a salvo charged up. It's a whole mess there that's going on.
And I feel like Bird sort of was sitting there and thinking to himself, this is it. This is the last moment. I might as well try. And I don't think Torpedo were expecting it, honestly. They were grouped up. The Dragon Punch came in, and they all just scattered, and one got caught out as we saw.
But they have to. Torpedo have to expect this right now. I mean, Death and Taxes still have a shot at the Week 5 DreamHack qualifiers. Hold that thought as Tempest comes out. Custom gets a kill with Tempest, but is wiped out by SunCommander. The Hexafire is popped in response. And now it's Bozey who's running down the Princess using that Tempest. Does manage to pick up a kill there. Capture advantage potentially in favor of Death and Taxes right here.
Definitely in favor of Death and Taxes. SunCommander runs in, chases Laizy down. They're trying to deal with Bird all the time. Meanwhile, but I don't think they're going to get it. Thiel also drops, and that's 4 of the Torpedo side down right now. They're starting to respawn and get back into position, but they're all going to be popped. And it looks like Death and Taxes will get their first capture.
Laizy has to go in. Laizy has to stick on the capture point. There was a chicken that came out, but no, Torpedo come back in, but there's a response chicken that answers back along with a dome shield, and Torpedo get wiped out. Once again, spunkki in a lot of trouble, able to blink and fly away, but dangerous situations. Torpedo, the first point taken off them this game by Death and Taxes, and now they're looking for a payload conversion, but nobody's captured the payload.
Honestly, I think that chicken was actually baited out by Laizy because, you know, he has that chicken. He was in a position to use it, but he held off either because the team told him that, you know, no one was in a position to respond, or they just wanted to bait out the ultimates. Remember, it is 4 now to 1. Torpedo just needed to win 1 more point. If they can make the side of Death and Taxes burn ultimates, they'd be in a good position for the next point fight.
I mean, realistically, Torpedo could pretty much AFK and just let the payload get pushed all the way through, give a second point to the side of Death and Taxes here, and just sit and wait with enough credits in their bank to buy the burn cards they need and have their ultimates charged, and that's it. That's all they need to do right now, because they only have to win 1 point. It is an uphill battle for Death and Taxes, but they are making quite a successful job of it so far, pushing the payload through the major choke point now. In a little bit of trouble, as they do still have to run through that choke point in order to actually reach the payload, but Custom goes Custom sitting on the defense, so it's going to be hard to do so. Bird gets frozen by spunkki. spunkki immediately blinks back, but Tuzkar on the back line runs up to the payload.
He's starting to make a push here, but at the same time, the rest of Torpedo realizes this Dragon Punch round the corner. Drag race there. Drifting round, smacks straight into Custom. That's 1 down. Death and Taxes starting to look for a push here. Laizy also drops. It's 3 men left. Spunkki taken very low, has to ice block. I don't know if he'll get out of this one. He also goes down. Custom, Thiel, and Princess, the only ones remaining. And I don't think they're going to use ultimates here to defend.
They can't. There's no need, though. There's absolutely no need. They can just hold ultimates, and as long as they've got enough charge, but Custom's delaying everybody quite well, but this is going to be a capture point for Death and Taxes, but oh, Spunkki obliterated. Bird picking up a double kill at the end of that engagement. Bird actually being very effective in these engagements, and the Dragon Punches which we're seeing connect are actually really turning engagements in the favor of Death and Taxes.
I didn't even see it coming. I just suddenly saw the Drogos drift around the corner, almost hugging the wall, and just smack straight into Custom.
The Fast and the Furious drove you adrift.
Yep, it looks like we do have a pause going out here for a few seconds, so we can get some time to talk about some of the burn cards being picked up. And as well as that, we have the whole issue of look at the ultimates on the side of Torpedo now.
Right. The only one that's missing is Spunkki, and with Spunkki dealing so much damage per auto attack on direct hits, I mean, Spunkki's going to stack that up very, very quickly. What I want to see happen from Torpedo is if Torpedo want to win this on this next capture point, they need to bait out ultimates from Death and Taxes. Comparatively, Death and Taxes can't afford to let themselves be baited. They, in turn, need to force things like the Dome Shield. They need to force Tempest out. They need to force those early enough that when the respawns come through as a group from Death and Taxes, they can push out, they can have all these ultimates ready, and they can recapture this point and potentially look to even this up. I mean, it only takes 1 more capture point and payload conversion, and then it is 4 points versus 4, and the last capture point is literally for everything here.
Yeah, this is going to be a big fight right now. Remember, this is for the 3rd game. Torpedo up 2-0 right now. If they can make this next point, they will capture. Well, if they can capture this next point, they'll take the whole game and the series 3-0, and then they will take the first spot into the week 5 playoffs for this Founders DreamHack tournament.
Absolutely, and one thing we should mention, the winning team from this week and all subsequent weeks in each region won't be featured in the rest of the tournaments. So it changes the dynamic of the tournaments a little bit different. And if Torpedo actually takes this win here, oh, good grief. And hold that thought as Bird goes up, drops an entire salvo shot onto Thiel, and Thiel is just wiped out the face of the earth with that. That was incredible.
Dome was popped on the balcony, and that managed to pick up 1 kill. SunCommander with a Hexafire trying to pick up Princess. He managed to get that, and Custom as well. Right now, 3 versus 2 on this point. Spunkki trying to get there to help Laizy out. SunCommander taken very low. Freeze comes on to Simsiloo. Spunkki picks that one up. Laizy and Spunkki now trying to take down SunCommander. Spunkki going to be picked up by Bozey here, but gets away with the saw. Now it's just Thiel left on this point. He picks up Tuzkar, but he's all alone in this one. Death and Tax is very close to finishing this one out. Princess comes in. I don't know if he's got his ultimate ready, trying to just stall for as long as he can. SunCommander very low. Whole salvo onto Laizy takes him out, but he just about gets the kill onto SunCommander. Bird and Custom 1v1 on the point, but the rest of the team are here to help support him. It looks like Custom will be dropping, and Death and Taxes taking this point.
No, but Spunkki comes back in. A freeze almost saves Custom's life, but there we go. There's the dome shield coming out from Tuzkar. There's no way that Torpedo can contest this. And the second capture point in a row goes in favor of Death and Taxes. As I said earlier, if they can push this payload conversion like before, it puts a whole lot of pressure on Torpedo to win out this game, lest we go into a 4th game in this final set.
And a lot of that was on Bird right there. That whole salvo into the face of Thiel was brutal right there. Payload is starting to push up right now. Bird trying to get a few pokes onto Thiel around the corner. Can't quite manage to hit it out. And the rest of the team trying to hold what they can. Torpedo slightly spread here. Spunkki caught out on the side, very low. Does get dropped. Laizy, meanwhile, picks up SunCommander. Bird low, but picks up the health from his fallen ally. Custom trying to hold the payload as much as he can. Simsiloo does take out Princess as well, doing some work on this pit right now inside the base. And it looks like Death and Taxes getting a push on here.
They absolutely are. Bozey is really just porting this directly in. The Princess has popped a barricade, has popped a turret down. That's all spawning. And while Spunkki drops the Ice Storm there, it's going to help out a little bit. But Bird from the side is uncontested and unnoticed, just dropping damage down with these rockets, getting the air shots onto Thiel as well. Fantastic play. Custom is forced to use an ultimate to stop this push from going any further. But all the while, Bird just getting off this free damage onto the members of Torpedo, dishing it out in spades. Likely to be picked up here by Laizy, though.
Yeah, Torpedo, while last time they were happy to sell that last point, they don't want to do it this time. It'll put it up to 4-4 and make it all about that one last team fight. They definitely don't want that to happen right now. So they're trying to defend. They'll use the ultimates. Of course, there's still 1 minute and 10 seconds left. Plenty of time to recharge and get back up to 100%, but also plenty of time for Death and Taxes to make a push here.
It is indeed, and now all Death and Taxes are actually getting picked off a little bit. SunCommander comes around from the backside, but is spotted out by Thiel, as Torpedo, taking advantage of backdoor mechanics and backdoor practices, are kind of well adjusted to spotting those out. SunCommander forced to soar away. Bird dropping a lot of damage out with salvo, but no kills picked up on the side of either team. The Princess 1 versus 2, however, and 1 versus 3 if you include that turret, holding the high ground by themselves, really need some help, and in comes Thiel to deliver just that. Once again, Bird up in the air, looking for damage on the Custom, doesn't quite get it. There we go.
Custom taken out, though. As soon as they go to help support Princess on the high ground, the rest of the team collapse in. Bird almost taken out. He gets sniped out of the air. Trades going in left and right. It's 3 versus 3 right now. Simsiloo and Laizy having a fight whilst just 2v1 on the payload. SunCommander taken down. Laizy still raining above onto Simsiloo when he finally turns to help his ally, but it's too late. He also falls. Tuzkar last man standing. Bozey coming in, but it's all too late. He won't get the overtime.
I've never seen anybody nope out quite like Bozey. He walks up, he goes, oh no, goes to walk away from that. Not going to give the enemy team any more credits. Torpedo getting not getting an extra kill onto Bozey there. And this is potentially, once again, it. Death and Taxes could win here with a payload conversion and force this game to a game 4. Torpedo could win the entire set here with just a single capture point fight. And looking at ults, Custom this time, the only one without an ult. And that means the Tempest won't be available as soon as the point spawns. And I'm actually okay with that because it means that it can't be baited at all. It is potentially going to be ready for the next point fight if there is a respawn and a reset that has to come out from everybody.
It definitely won't be baited into something like the Barrack Dome Shield, and the side of Death and Taxes probably don't know that. Ready to drop it as soon as Custom comes in. Lots of flanks coming through. Hexafire comes through from SunCommander. Quickly just cancelled as it's not going to connect onto anyone. Thiel pops the Cursed Arm, doesn't hit onto Simsiloo, but he's very low. Finally picks him up. Dome is dropped. Another Dome dropped. Bozey with the Great Tempest picks up 2. Bird onto Laizy as well, and that was just the disadvantage of ultimates there from Torpedo.
It was indeed, despite actually the Hexafire being burned pretty much for nothing, and now Spunkki in a lot of trouble. Bird pushing out. Maybe a pickup onto Thiel here if Thiel doesn't get out of dodge quickly, but a good reversal will force SunCommander back. Torpedo have to regroup in this engagement. They have to go in as a team. The Princess diving in, using those rocket boots to contest the capture point for a second, but it's not enough. In fact, Death and Taxes are able to remain dominant on these capture point fights, and even though Custom comes in with the ultimate with Tempest, now it gets picked off by Bird, and Death and Taxes are just looking so strong. This Drogo's pick is paying off for them in spades.
They look like they've worked out Torpedo at this point. You know, they've worked out this composition. They know if they just fight around and fight hard in this way, group up and push into them, then they can take them out at this point. Payload is starting to get pushed in. SunCommander inside the base, starting to look for a flank here. If Torpedo aren't careful, they'll run straight into his arms right now, running right underneath him. SunCommander comes down. There's the hover, trying to take down Princess. Custom on his own as well. Princess pops the barricade, but it's not enough. Custom trying to survive from Simsiloo. Meanwhile, the payload is still pushing. Spunkki, the only one left to hold that, but he's forced out.
Laizy almost dead as well. Bird actually going up into Dragon's Fury. Gets a kill almost inside the base. No safety for you, Spunkki. This could be it. This could be the conversion if Princess doesn't have the ultimate available very soon. It's going to be a lot of trouble for Torpedo. Respawns are coming back out, though. The Custom is obliterated by SunCommander as Hexafire is devastating. Spunkki is back again. The ice block will hold people for a second, but SunCommander is still alive. It's up to Laizy and Spunkki to hold this. It looks like they might just be able to do so if they're able to take down...
Simsiloo's here, though. The chicken pops, and they get taken down. Death and Taxes make a comeback in the third game, sweeping in both points and managing to take a game and stop the momentum of Torpedo as we go 2-1 in the series into a fourth game.
Good grief, I never expected that due to the point control and the dominance which Torpedo showed initially, but once Bird seemed to work out this Drogo's pick, and look at that, Bird sitting at almost the top of the charts just behind Simsiloo in damage on the side of Death and Taxes, 84k player damage. Laizy once again top of the charts, but the rest of Torpedo starting to fall behind. In fact, I think it's only Barrack that was ahead in that particular situation of Tuzkar. Tuzkar getting 49k as opposed to the Princess's 50k and 1000 damage in those engagements. I mean, it's relatively insignificant.
Yeah, hard fight there for Torpedo, but Death and Taxes really starting to stick it to them in this last game. They're really pushing forwards, working them out. We'll see how it goes in game 4 of the series as we head to a break, getting into that one.
Welcome back, champions, and in true underdog fashion, Death and Taxes take a game off Torpedo, the largely undefeated juggernaut, to keep themselves in the running. It is 2-1 in favor of Torpedo. Death and Taxes, as stated before, are looking for a reverse sweep in order to pick up a place for the playoffs in week 5 of these qualifiers. On the left-hand side of your leaderboard, or rather your scoreboard, is Death and Taxes this time. The boys in blue, it is Bozey on Grok, SunCommander on Ruckus, Tuzkar on Barrack, Bird once again on the Drogos, and Simsiloo on Pip.
And on the right side of the scoreboard, we have Torpedo, Laizy on Pip, Spunkki on Eevee, Thiel on Androxus, Princess on Barrack, and Custom on Grok as we move forward to the mid-fight.
I love the runbacks, I absolutely do, and this is going to be the game to test and see if Bird can pull off the same performance he did last time, but the first blood of this game immediately going to Custom as SunCommander is wiped off the face of the earth.
And good flank there by Spunkki and Custom, coming round to the side of him, just completely cutting him off. And pushing him out of that fight. The rest of the team not in a position to help him out, and they start to just zone away Death and Taxes from this point.
What Torpedo really have to do here is poke in this situation. You cannot afford the whole team of Death and Taxes, all 5 members, to punch back in one big group. They have to be poked down. They have to be kept at a distance and kept low. But Laizy is evaporated. Bozey getting credit for the kill into Laizy. Simsiloo picking up a kill of their own, and now it looks like the point is back in favor of Death, or rather in favor in the first place of Death and Taxes.
SunCommander going super aggressive onto Thiel right now. spunkki not able to help him out. He's going to get caught out as well. It looks like Control is going to go for Death and Taxes. And I don't know if Torpedo will have the time to come and contest on this with 2 members still down.
They're starting to deal damage from a distance, but as you said, respawns are going to take a while. It's going to be a last-ditch effort just to get in there and contest it for a moment. You send your grok in. That's what you have to do. But the siege engine was captured. Despite the chicken comes out, the members of Death and Taxes are still on the capture point, and as a result, the capture point does go in their favor. Death and Taxes take the first siege of this game 4.
SunCommander with a huge double kill there in the background as well, doing lots of damage to the rest of Torpedoes. They tried to retreat and run from that capture point to set up a defense, but no one is up in time and ready to get the defense. However, Bird gets caught with the freeze, bopped on the head by spunkki. Laizy pops him straight away. SunCommander coming around with a flank, but this is 3 versus 1 right now. He's got to be careful. spunkki taken very low. SunCommander pops the shield and hover and gets out of there.
Now Custom looking to deal some damage to Bozey and looking to just contest this payload. That beam able to get through narrow gaps that players can't actually fit through themselves. Custom is going to stick around the payload, being the best person to stall it due to the effects of Ghost Walk, but from behind come Bird and SunCommander. Bird jumping up out of danger. spunkki drops the ultimate onto them, and together Torpedo force SunCommander back out once again, but it doesn't look like they're actually going to be picked off here.
Huge snowstorm there by spunkki, holding Simsiloo away and getting a kill as well. They're still pushing this point. Simsiloo and Tuzkar are the only ones left, but they'll be picked up very quickly. Princess picking up a double with that one.
In fact, I think that was a quadra. The Princess getting a quadra kill on Barrack, one of the more defensive champions in this patch. That is incredible play. Good grief, I wouldn't have picked that up if it wasn't for the scoreboard announcer coming through.
SunCommander no longer the best kill steal?
Maybe the Princess is the new SunCommander.
Kill confirms, not kill steals. Let's get that right.
Hey,
but
hey.
Tuzkar.
This is Paladins. They're eliminations, okay? They're eliminations and killing blows. Or rather, solo kills now. Custom, very low, is eliminated by SunCommander. Death and Taxes just charging into the base, seem unstoppable.
Bird with the back line Dragon Punch managed to pick off spunkki. Thiel doing what he can to hold it off, dashing through the payload once, twice, and a third time. They hold him off, pick up SunCommander. Bird with huge damage comes through though with that full salvo. Laizy and Custom pop with that chicken, but they still survive. Laizy gets the pop back. Nice freeze coming through from spunkki will keep him safe. Bozey is now just causing a lot of issue on the payload. Heals coming through, and the Ghost Walk just keeping him alive. Bird
Bozey's just
the
not dying.
whole time just doing free damage.
Bozey's just not dying, and he absolutely has to be picked off. That is the grok that is keeping the remaining team members alive when they come in, and due to the length of Ghost Walk, he's just able to keep himself alive through so much, but Laizy does end up getting credit for a kill that picks him off. SunCommander answers back, but it's not enough for spunkki kills SunCommander in that engagement. Simsiloo looking to barrage the point from a distance and barrage the payload, but it seems unlikely that Death and Taxes are going to make a last-ditch effort to kind of break in and convert this payload. Bird just farming credits there right at the end.
I feel like that aggressive push, though, actually worked in the favor of Torpedo on that defense because, you know, Death and Taxes, they were on the point. They might have managed to push it, you know? They might have managed to convert it. But at the same time, they still had 40 seconds left. The fact that they pushed so hard and wiped meant that they were never going to be able to convert it.
Right, absolutely. They wiped, but they also staggered from that point onwards. They didn't wipe internal, although it was very difficult to kill Bozey, and Bozey was able to help out the teammates, which did make it back to the payload and keep it stalled very, very close to the conversion point. I mean, he just wasn't quite enough due to the stagger.
Burn card lead right now for the side of Torpedo, but at the same time, most of the ults on the side of Death and Taxes as this fight will start to unfold. spunkki keeping too busy in the backline, but he's going to go down. No trail kill on the other side of the fight either, so it's 4v5. They need to try and find a frag, or they'll have to peel back from this one. The collapse could come through and very
Chicken
much
hits
getting down.
30.
4-man chicken, but there's no one there to respond.
There is now a salvo from Bird is incredible. Dishes out enough damage to wipe out Custom. Bozey getting a double kill on the backside, using that Tempest to the best of their ability. Thiel, the only one left in the area alive, but spunkki comes in, goes in deep, looks to pick up a kill into Simsiloo, blinks back away from SunCommander, but all the time the point capture has reached 60 points, 70 points. There's no way that Torpedo can get back on this. This is definitely going to death and taxes.
This Bird salvo with the Masterful is doing so much damage. It can literally one-shot anyone on the side of Torpedo right now, and it is such an issue. Without any tanks on the side of Torpedo or any actual shields, one whole salvo will just take a member out completely at this point.
Especially if they've already been hit by the damage buff of Expectorate, which allows players that are hit by that globule to deal extra will allow Drogos to deal extra damage to them, and it's incredibly effective, as we have seen. It's important to remember that Bird isn't actually running the salvo accuracy card up at a high level. It is only Spitfire 1, which increases the rocket accuracy of salvo by 4%, but it's enough. He doesn't go for long-distance salvo shots. He gets up close, ensuring that every single one of those hits their mark instead of dropping them down from a distance. And now Bozey, ooh, a lot of trouble, wiped out immediately.
Torpedo holding them very aggressively, but they're losing members all the time from it as well. They're now down to just 2 of them left, trying to retreat from this. They've stalled some time, but now they don't have people up, set up and ready for this next fight.
Indeed they do, but the Princess has the high ground currently. Somebody has to stop the payload, though. The payload's just pushing itself at this point. And it will be the Princess actually giving up the high ground, even though spunkki is there in order to stop that payload and start pushing it backwards. Custom looking for back doors, potentially as SunCommander sets up to come around with a flank. And both spunkki and Laizy up on high ground right now, waiting for people to come through. The Princess back up on the higher ledge. Should see a turret come out in just a moment.
The rest of the team, though, SunCommander and Bozey both pushing through the mid-cave. They don't find Laizy. He peels back in time, but he's got to be careful here. He's taken very low. Bozey trying to get him out. He jumps down with the Ghost Walk, but he can't find the kill. SunCommander picks that up. Hexafire comes through. He picks up 2. Thiel going to get away from that in time. 3 kills for the side of Death and Taxes, 2 only for Torpedo, and Death and Taxes looking to convert this next point.
Oh, Bird. Oh, Bird, I thought that Dragon Punch was going to connect onto Princess at that point, and that would have been it for Torpedo. That would have been lights out and a payload conversion guaranteed, as the respawns would have been slightly too long, but Torpedo do respawn in time. Nobody's looking at Bird, though. SunCommander's getting off dual fire, not contested, and all of Death and Taxes are starting to pour back into Torpedo's base, and this payload conversion looks like it's going to be pushed to completion. Laizy, the last man standing, is picked off. Credit for that kill going to Bird, and this Drogo's pick is just something which Torpedo don't seem to either be able to adapt to or can't counter. It is just so devastating.
The amount of burst coming through from it is just disgusting. I'd like to see blast shields, and it's really the only thing that's going to help them at this point. We only see 2 blast shields on the side of Torpedo. They need to stop this burst.
They absolutely do. They absolutely have to. More burn cards likely coming out for people in just a moment. There's a 3rd issue of Blast Shields. Laizy electing not to go for it, going for Cauterize instead, and Master Riding is 4 Master Ridings on each team, actually 5 on the side of Death and Taxes. I mean, the Death and Taxes are going to be able to get set up for this point slightly better than Torpedo.
Yeah, and they need to start this momentum rolling the other way. You know, Torpedo, they're probably behind on ults right now if they're not careful. Bird picks up Princess. SunCommander as well picks up Laizy. Torpedo just falling. Thiel pops the Cursed Dragon Arm, only gets 1. The Ghost Walk keeps Grok alive and safe. SunCommander gonna pop that emitter and keep himself alive. And Torpedo just falling to pieces.
They are indeed, as spunkki is picked off in the backline. spunkki no longer the devastating backline assassin that we've seen him be so well in the previous few games. Instead, that playstyle seems to have been completely adapted to. He's expected, he's picked off. A chicken does come through from Laizy, though, and it's potential Tempest time on the point as the flamethrower turret is going ham in favor of Torpedo, but it's SunCommander comes out on top of that. Bozey getting a triple kill with Tempest there. And the objective once again goes in favor. Bozey getting a quadra kill. Objective goes in favor of Death and Taxes for the 4th point in a row.
Domes were popped from both sides there, but Torpedo's one got shut down very quickly.
It did indeed, and that's likely the effects of Hexafire in combination with the effects of Tempest, and both of those were popped, I think, for both teams at the same time. They're spunkki now in a lot of trouble. Blink soars away, is able to get back into base and heal up for just a second, but the payload is already approaching the choke point. There's nobody on the side of Torpedo up to defend. There's nobody on the side of Torpedo up to stall. They're just under so much pressure from this incredibly mobile, devastating team comp, which Death and Taxes are taking full advantage of.
Yeah, but they're just rolling over them. Of course, they have the burn card advantage right now, and it's definitely showing. They're just running straight through them.
They do indeed.
SunCommander picks up a double kill. Laizy managed to find one on the way back, and Princess going to hold this payload for a few more seconds, allowing his team to respawn. It's going to help them out. Gale stops the freeze. They managed to find the kills, however. Custom and Laizy pick up kills. Tuzkar will be dropping, and that should allow them to keep this defense up for a few more moments until the next push.
Oh, Laizy taking a lot of damage there from Simsiloo. Simsiloo's shots absolutely on point. Doesn't seem to be Laizy doesn't seem to be returning them quite as effectively, which is completely different from what we've been expecting after Laizy's phenomenal performance throughout all of these previous games. It is 4 points to 0. Torpedo have to stop this defense, otherwise it'll be a clean sweep to game 5. Torpedo also have to adjust to this Drogo's pick, and just the fact that Eevee can no longer backline dive due to the effects of Gale. Tuzkar back on the payload once more. This could be the final push.
Yeah, they're not dealing with this at all on Bird. Spunkki managed to pick up Bozey, however. Him and Laizy are going in deep for SunCommander. Don't manage to get him. The Dragon Punch comes through, does not connect onto anyone. Laizy getting SunCommander so low. Great Cursed Arm comes out for Thiel and picks up a few. Custom gonna stay on the payload to keep that one in place. Almost runs in. Bird still just on the base, doing whatever he wants at this point. Does get frozen and shut down. You see how easy it is to shut him down if they focus him. They're just not doing so. Great Chicken comes through. SunCommander and the rest of the team trying to find the frags, but they don't manage to get it. Simsiloo picked off.
SunCommander has Hexafire already. He might be willing to use it in this, as it will win the game. There we go. There's SunCommander's Hexafire. Doesn't actually pick anybody off so far, and SunCommander is picked up in response as Custom drops the Tempest, getting a double kill there. Just managing to save that payload and save the rest of his team. Bit of a burnt ult from both teams, though. But, I mean, Torpedo needs that ultimate more than SunCommander does.
Torpedo were waiting for that Hexafire. As soon as it came down, the Dome came down, and the Tempest, just to clean up the fight. You know, as much as they need the ults for the next fight, they will not get to the next fight if they don't actually survive this defense.
Absolutely.
So, defense comes
charge,
through
though.
for Torpedo.
Full ult charge from both Barak and Grok on the side of Death and Taxes. It is going to be devastating because those ults can now be held. All of Death and Taxes should know that the ults were popped just in that last engagement by Torpedo. Those ults can be held. Those ults can be used tactically now.
Yeah, we've got 2 ults on the side now of Death and Taxes left. Bozey and Tuzkar both have theirs, but that's a huge combination that Torpedo doesn't have. They don't currently have this big bunker,
AoE.
this Dome ult, and into a Tempest. You know, the Dome helps keep the Grok safe and alive, makes it sort of like a double AoE ultimate.
It is indeed, and it's devastating. Bozey has to ghost walk away from Spunkki. It's frozen for a second. This is the change we needed to see. Bird picked off immediately. SunCommander dives in, but is hit by a chicken, forced to run away. Is able to do so still in hover, I think, with a very, very fast movement speed there. Death and Taxes getting set up on the capture point, pushing away. Spunkki in a lot of trouble. Is probably picked up by Bozey here, but a fantastic blink saves their life. No, just for a moment. But this time the capture point is going back in favor.
There goes the Tempest from Bozey trying to pick up. Princess does manage to find him, gets traded, however. Tuzkar on the point trying to hold that one off. Pops the ultimate. Bird just about misses with the Dragon Punch, not able to find that one. Right now, Death and Taxes with point control. Laizy caught on the wrong side of the map at the moment. SunCommander's going to be coming up behind him. He's got to make a move. They get the frag onto Bird, however, and Tuzkar. They both go down. Laizy's still alive. He gets away from SunCommander. They're trying to find Simsiloo in the back here.
And now it is up to Torpedo not just to keep the pressure up, but to really push out and zone, as if they sit by the capture point and as a group of 5. Death and Taxes punch back in as they're looking to do. Oh,
Chicken
fantastic
gets
barricade!
blocked by the barricade. Bozey goes in. He's going to have to ghost walk SunCommander on his own. Thiel with a reflect gets him with that one. Picks up the double kill. Tuzkar going in to do what he can. Custom pops the Tempest, picks up a lot of damage. No actual kills, but the team wiping it for him. And that's Thiel with the quadra kill?
Again, another quadra kill on the board, this time going to Thiel. That's the Torpedo we know. That's the Torpedo that we have expected and has been missing, unable to deal with the pressure coming out from all of these previous fights. With this, it shows that Torpedoes still do have a chance to close it out here, but they have to play this perfectly. They cannot lose a capture point. They need to convert as many payloads as possible to give them the best chance at doing so and not dropping any points at all. Everybody is being forced back on the side of Torpedo, though, as a defense from Death and Taxis. It looks pretty good.
Slight miscommunication there between both Thiel and spunkki. The shield came through. Bird going in for the one punch. Doesn't get it. Glides straight past them. Does pick up the kill, however. SunCommander gets custom as well. The rest of Torpedo, though, turn very quickly. Pick up Bird in the background, but they are pushed away for the moment.
They are indeed. Groups coming back out again as respawns come through. Expect the oh, there we go, there it is. I'd expect spunkki to blink in and get a freeze and try and make something happen. Bozey pushing this cart back, which is forced into ghost walk form, is now going to be aggressed on by both Custom and the Princess, but the Princess forced right back out as the damage from Bird is just too much to deal with.
SunCommander in the back, though, he's in a bad position. He's going to get taken out any moment now. Bozey also taken down. That's 2 members down for no return frags. Laizy so close, but those potion launchers just aren't connecting. Spunkki with the Ice Storm onto Tuzkar. That'll pick him up. Simsiloo also dropping very low. A few more hits. Bird managing to cause enough disruption to save his teammate, but he's going to start being forced away. Custom, one more hit and he'll take him down. Just trying to hide in that corner and heal himself back up. But Thiel, he's looking for blood. He wants to try and get this kill and get Bird out of the fight. Salvo in the face of Thiel. Not many connecting, actually, and this aerial dogfight going on right now.
Showing a whole new vertical dynamic to the game that is something which many people have been asking for and waiting for, but SunCommander with the hover and the gunship just does take out Thiel. Laizy forced back once again by this same ability, but most of Torpedo are actually in a very good position to continue advancing. They're bunkered down in one of the corners.
Spunkki picks up SunCommander. He jumps back up, but doesn't have the support of his team, so backs off. 30 seconds left on this push. Torpedo need to try and make something happen here. They need to juggle a few more of these deaths. Bozey very low, pops the Ghost Walk, a few more hits and he'll go down. Torpedo finally have control of the high ground, but they don't have any kills just yet. Spunkki's going in real deep. He manages to pick up Bozey. He survives with the blink back up. 15 seconds. Laizy's trying to get in on the point, but there's no one on the payload.
Custom has to get back there, is best equipped to do so with Ghost Walk. In fact, Spunkki gets a freeze onto Tuzkar. Tuzkar is picked up by Custom in that situation. And now Simsiloo and SunCommander are about to fall down to Thiel, if I'm not mistaken. No, manages to actually heal up. SunCommander gets a trade onto Thiel, still alive. The Princess pushing in very deep, may even think about popping a dome shield here if absolutely necessary, as this payload secure is something which Torpedo desperately need. And
Laizy with the huge 1v1, basically no health and still wins out. Spunkki with the nice freeze, and Laizy managed to get a shot off before he dies. SunCommander the only one left. Spunkki and Custom and Princess fighting this out. The rest of Torpedo collapsing around them. SunCommander goes down. Simsiloo also drops, and Bird not there in time. That is the point going to Torpedo as they convert their first point of the game.
I do indeed. Points are now 4-2 in favor of Death and Taxes. Torpedo need to pull off just another one of these again and another capture point to close out the series, whereas instead Death and Taxes are looking at 1 capture point to make this go to a game 5.
Here's the crazy part though. We have almost full burn cards on everyone, slight advantage for Torpedo, but everyone in the game has ultimate.
Pressure's on. The pressure is on. Look at the streaks on the side of Torpedo. There's a 14 streak for the Princess. There's a 10 streak for Grok, 8 streak for Spunkki. If Torpedo can keep this up, they're going to be dealing a phenomenal amount of damage throughout these fights, staying alive. But
Custom in the background. That's a big fight onto Bozey. They managed to get the Tempest off. Bird flies straight past, doesn't connect at all with that ultimate either. The rest of the team on Torpedo very low, trying to get a lapse around him. Thiel with a huge reflect, doesn't get enough of the damage, however, onto SunCommander, and he picks him up. They trade 1 for 1. This is going to be a very close fight. Bunker, Dome comes down onto the point. Custom, very low. Simsiloo looking for him, doesn't manage to find him, however. It's currently 3 versus 3 on this one. Simsiloo picks off 89 points on the point. They have to get there. Princess drops the dome. He's going to stall it out for enough time. The rest of Torpedo collapsing in. SunCommander with the ultimate. Spunkki. Thiel with the huge ultimate picks up 1.
Not 2, unfortunately, which is what they needed as SunCommander comes round from one of the sides, deals just a lot of damage, takes out the shield, but SunCommander forced out, turrets swinging, dishes out so much damage onto him, almost dead as SunCommander, but Simsiloo comes in now.
They get on the point!
They have to stay on the point. Torpedo cannot leave this point. They all have to stay there. The freeze from Eevee is good. Spunkki manages to retain point control. Bozey is back once again, is able to ghost walk around for a second. Really need to take out all these totems if possible, reduce that healing, and Torpedo, a triple kill going to the Princess in this engagement. In this fight, it looks like they're going to get the second capture in a row for them. If they get a payload conversion, as we've said, this will reduce it to 1 capture point for all of the marbles once again.
Such a close fight. Bird has his ultimate back up, but almost everyone is down, and this is the issue. If that Dragon Punch does not connect, it is 4 ultimates to 5, and that Dragon Punch will take someone completely out. You know, that'll make it 4 to 3 effectively at that point. But the issue is, it's like they're not managing to hit it at that point. Bird has to take someone out with that, and if he's unable to, then they're at a disadvantage in that fight.
High risk, high reward. If it's successful, then it can turn a team fight. If it's unsuccessful, but it's a free pick at that point. They put themselves usually in a very disadvantageous situation. And from what Torpedo has shown in the previous 2 games, without that ultimate on the playing field and without that danger there, I mean, Torpedo have really proven themselves to be, you know, either the stronger team or at more of an advantage. But Death and Tax is really strong with the comeback. Bozey just stalling this payload out. Spunkki trying to box him, but has to soar away. Taken out there by Bozey. In fact, the lightning beam doing work.
They managed to get SunCommander in return, however, but a lot of Torpedo very low in this. Bozey in the background, he gets turned on and caught out. This is 3 versus 4 right now for Death and Taxes. They've got to be careful here. They're trying to flank around and catch Bird out. He's forced out of his position, and the payload is slowly rolling back, but the numbers advantage is in favor of Torpedo right now. Princess very low, just about gets the barricade, but he's got to be careful. Here comes SunCommander from behind. Bozey going to come back up in a second too. They're trying to find this barrack, but they can't quite get him.
All the meantime, Spunkki's just trying to push this payload in. 1 versus 2 is Spunkki on the payload now, chooses to soar away, goes and helps out the team. Simsiloo in a lot of trouble here. If he gets frozen, will be picked off. No, able to get out of dodge using weightless. Spunkki does look to follow. Forced to wormhole blink back. Their original position being brought very low by all of the damage coming out from Death and Taxes.
And Torpedo need to reset here now. They're at 50 seconds remaining. They've got enough time to completely wait for the respawns, but it looks like they're going to call out fire flank here. SunCommander coming up behind them. Spunkki taken very low. That last potion launcher goes straight to his wormhole blink, and he gets taken down.
Fantastic preemptive work from Simsiloo, knowing that the wormhole likely going to come out there. Or it was just a blind shot. Either way, great play from Simsiloo. And SunCommander picking up a kill into Laizy. I mean, Death and Taxes, the defense is just almost impenetrable here. I don't see Torpedo getting through. There's too many of them in bad positions, too far back, nowhere near the payload. And nobody wants to push it to overtime using ultimates at all. These have to be saved for the capture point.
Yep, Laizy coming back in. They've got everyone back in for 1 last attempt, maybe 10 seconds. Spunkki unfortunately pops the ultimate too early, thinking he's round the corner. Doesn't get it onto anyone. SunCommander picks up Spunkki. No return kill either. That's an ult down for nothing at this point. They're trying to find Tuzkar. They managed to get him. Princess and Custom very low themselves on this point. They need to pick Bozey up in this fight. He's taken very low. That's a second kill for them. SunCommander also low. He goes down. Simsiloo and Bird picking up their own kills. It's a 2v2 at this point. Spunkki comes back in time to get the freeze onto Bird, and they pick him up. Tuzkar, the only one remaining.
The reversal damage picked up Bird in that situation, but Laizy gets or did a lot of damage to them, but Laizy gets a double kill. The payload is pushing in. It's a last-ditch effort for a defense. It's a last-ditch effort for the payload push, as it is now in overtime. Chicken is actually used by Laizy in that situation just before they die, getting and achieving nothing as SunCommander is able to get out of dodge and port immediately up to a high level using the teleporters. Double kill comes out onto the side of the Princess. Simsiloo picked off there, and
3v3, but the respawns are going to be in favor of Death and Taxes, and they look like they're going to take this one. Spunkki just a bit farther away from the point. He won't be able to get onto it, and Princess also goes down. Looks like this will be a defense for Death and Taxes. Looking very, very close there for Torpedo, and it's 3 to 5 to 4 right now. And look at this. Death and Taxes didn't use a single ultimate.
all of those ultimates are ready and waiting. We know that the chicken, the evil mojo, is going to be down on the side of Laizy. I just want to point out something about the burn cards. There are 5 instances of Wrecker on the side of Torpedo. There are no instances of Wrecker and 5 develops on the side of Death and Taxes. And look at the blast shields. Only 2 members of Torpedo actually having blast shields, despite what we've made comments about with Bird, despite what we've made comments about with the damage coming out from Malady on Pip with Simsiloo and Tuzkar's rifle shots. I think that we're seeing less blast shields just because we've got SunCommander and Bozey now both dealing damage, which is only affected by Haven. Because of that, we do see a Haven picked up by Thiel, but it's just not enough. Custom, though, with a morale boost, looking to have more and more ultimates, as those ultimates are going to ultimately, pardon the pun, going to be what decides the result of these engagements.
Yeah, this is very odd to see that Torpedo not realizing that SunCommander's going for that gunship build. You know, they're still all going for this Wrecker. It only really affects Tuzkar's barricade in this point, and true, he is going a full barricade build. But at the same time, it's not doing as much work as it was in the previous instances of Ruckus's builds.
Here's why I think it's less effective. I've talked to a few different pros, and when they talk about Bunker and Barricade, if we take a look at Tuzkar's build quickly, we see Bunker 4. That increases Barricade's health by 4,000, and the cooldown reduced by 10 seconds. This makes Barricade incredibly difficult to destroy. Comparatively, we've got Infuse 4, which heals for 500 over 3 seconds, but only Foundation 2, which increases the duration of Barricade by 4 seconds. That means comparatively to a Barrack who is going to have a longer duration Barricade, the best thing is not to try and brute force your way through this Barricade, but actually wait until the ability itself expires and then fight. You bait the Barricade, you fight around it. Yes, there's a lower cooldown on it and it's more difficult to do, but you use your height advantage with air control on champions like Androxus. It's just unfortunate that Androxus now hovering in midair, trying to pick people off is really easy fodder for Ruckus, Grok, and now also, as Bird has proven, Drogos.
Yep, and this Drogo's honestly slightly like a more powerful Androxus, and you know,
well,
teams definitely know how to deal with Androxus, so I'm very surprised that teams seem to be struggling, especially Torpedo, seem to be struggling with dealing with this Drogos, you know?
Well, I don't think it's fair to say that they're a more powerful Androxus, because the shots hit for less, right? It's just that
it's
Androxus
the burst. It's the actual burst on the front is the issue.
Right, and you can dish that out from a distance, and it's also it's AoE damage. Androxus goes into a crowd of people, hits one, he's only going to hit one. And Bird goes into a crowd of people, and this Drogos fires off a salvo at one. If teammates are grouped up, yes, I mean, he might not get all salvo shots off on just one person, but you're going to have everybody else hit by that splash damage.
Meanwhile, though, Torpedo getting an advantage, a huge flank came through. Both the Cursed Arm and Tempest were popped from the side of Torpedo, cleaning up 2 kills each, and then wiping the rest of the fight. Bird, the only one member remaining as the rest of the team move their way to help support him on this point. Remember, Torpedo, if they drop here, this is it for them. Dome is dropped very early. Bird flies straight in, but there's the chicken coming through. Hexafire doesn't really connect onto anyone at this point. Thiel goes down. Custom and Spunkki, the only 2 remaining against this 3-man team. SunCommander goes in and cleans him up. Custom going to be 1v1 versus SunCommander, doesn't win that fight. And Death and Taxes look like they might take this game.
I think they will, as SunCommander with his zone dismounts the Princess. It's actually up to Custom to get onto the point, and the capture rate, it's not enough. Custom, we can see in the end game screen, along with the Princess, is right there next to the capture point. But Death and Taxes take a second game in a row off Torpedo. This is going to game 5.
Yeah, and that Drogo ult just destroyed them. The dome came down, and they thought they were all safe. But they just let Bird sit in the back again. They turned their attention on the front rather than Bird, who had sat in the back, survived. He goes for the Dragon Punch, flies straight in, hits Princess right in the face, and nullifies the whole dome.
You've still got the dome, but comparatively, you've got no flamethrower turret. Also interesting to watch, Tuzkar didn't use the dome shield, despite having it available in the initial fight. And then once the Princess is down, he just walks in, goes, okay, well, I live here now, and you can't walk anywhere near it because of the damage of flamethrower turret. You've got no Tempest to potentially take out that flamethrower turret. It's too much damage to deal with, and combined with the default barricade and the heal from Infuse 4, it's just too much to deal with.
Yeah, definitely extremely close fight there, an extremely close game. We saw that Death and Taxes came out ahead of that with almost a clean 5-round sweep. Torpedo made their way back to what was, I think, a 3-4 difference, but in the end aren't able to win that last point. Death and Taxes take the one they need, and they move it forwards into a game 5.
Indeed, they do. Any closing remarks with regards to potential lineup changes you want to see? Maybe a different champion selection from Torpedo? As it appears that despite spunkki having 88k damage on this Eevee, it's just not as effective as it used to be. They're not getting the assassinations off. It seems that I would say Death and Taxes have adapted stupendously to it and are really dealing with it very well.
The composition has changed from Death and Taxes. They've changed the composition and the playstyle with it. Torpedo are still playing around the old Ruckus playstyle, you know? They're still playing around this Ruckus that goes for the projector, groups up. They've got 5 Wrecker. They're sitting there ready to counteract it. There's no Wrecker. There's no projector.
Right, exactly. In all honesty, I'd prefer to see more defensive burn cards to try and neutralize some of the damage coming out. I mean, everybody gets a Haven maybe, everybody gets a Blast Shield, or a combination thereof, depending on who's at most risk from what type of damage. And then maybe take a leaf out of Death and Taxes book, pick up Develop, an extra 400 health. That's an extra rocket shot from Drogoz. That's an extra couple of shots from or a few seconds of fire from SunCommander and Bozey on Ruckus and Grok. It's an extra potion. It can honestly change a team fight. But with that in mind, we'll be going ahead and setting up for game 5 of the first week of the first Paladins World Qualifiers, or the 100k tournament qualifiers. We'll be back in just a moment. This is it. This is the final game of the finals in the best of 5. We've gone all the way to the 5th game today, and introducing your teams on the left-hand side of your scoreboard. It is Torpedo, Laizy on Pip, the Princess on Barrack, spunkki on the Eevee, once again Thiel on Androxus, and Custom on Grok. No changes there. Tattle, take it away.
And we're going for another run back on the other side of things for Death and Taxes, looking to run this back with a reverse sweep. SunCommander on Ruckus, Tuzkar on Barrack, Bozey on that Grok, and Bird on Drogoz, and Simsiloo on that Pip.
Salty runbacks are the best. I don't think Torpedo's actually changed their comp for this entire tournament. It's been working fantastically so far. Laizy looking to pop up some zone already, but Laizy getting poked out heavily. SunCommander charging in with the extra hover duration, trying to pick off Laizy here, but using the tree to the advantage. And Thiel gets first blood on Bird in the main fight around the capture point.
Without SunCommander, they're missing a lot of their damage. The issue is that Death and Taxes currently do have the point control in their favor. Tuzkar's very low, however, a few more hits and he'll go down. Laizy managed to still keep SunCommander busy. All the meantime, spunkki's ready and waiting behind him to collapse on him. They're going to turn around on him, looking for this kill here. They take him down, and it's currently back to 4 versus 5. Torpedo looking to try and punish the side of Death and Taxes for the aggressive play of SunCommander. Tuzkar coming round from the flank, however.
Oh, Bird coming around from behind as well. Drops, oh my gosh, drops in a full salvo. Most shots hitting Thiel in that engagement. And that little fight, and Bird wipes Thiel off the face of the earth, getting a double with the kill onto Custom as well. Now it's spunkki just left alive on the side, along with the Princess on the side of Torpedo.
And that Drogoz still coming out huge. We didn't see any impact for it until the last second. Laizy picks up a kill of his own onto Bozey. He's being chased out. And again, it goes back to Death and Taxes with point control. The rest of Torpedo slowly starting to come around, however. They're looking to collapse on SunCommander again. He gets chickened, ice blocked, blown up in that case. The rest of Torpedo now closing around them. This is going to be actually 3 versus 5. Bozey is not in the fight either, just having respawned. Tuzkar goes down. They're looking for Simsiloo too. He can't get any catch on them. Bird being left to do his own thing in the back, but there's no one else on the rest of his team to finish the rest of the damage. He goes down as well.
And spunkki pinces through the window. No more Bird. Goodbye, Bird. That is the capture point, the first capture point of this final game. This one is for all the marbles, and it goes to Torpedo. Advantage to them. The payload is being pushed. Torpedo immediately do their characteristic push. They're going to look for high ground and going to look to take this away from Death and Taxes as soon as possible. Tuzkar in so much trouble right now.
They forced the emitter as well out of SunCommander, but he managed to pick off Laizy, going way too aggressive. Tuzkar very low. spunkki looking for a kill. does manage to pick up the kill there. So they've traded 1 for 1. SunCommander coming around the back, though. He's just jumped into all of them. They can turn on him here. Freeze comes through, but they're not able to get him. Princess goes down, and looks like it's falling apart here on this push for Torpedo.
It is briefly, but Thiel picks up a kill onto Bird. That's the salvo eliminated there, but Bird did a lot of damage to Thiel. Thiel now very low, forced to dash away, does manage to escape just in time. No follow-up kills in that respect, and Laizy's just kind of trying to lock this upper balcony down with the pip shots, with the AoE shots. Great blink in from
Tuzkar
spunkki.
goes down. SunCommander back and catches onto Laizy onto the payload. They're still fighting on this upper ground. Bozey and SunCommander chasing after Custom. Thiel is here, however, to support him. Princess going to be forced away as well. This looks like it might turn into a 3v2 around the point, around the payload. SunCommander goes down. They're now looking to pick up Bozey. He'll go down as well. That's 2 members down. Spunkki's behind the whole team right now. Laizy and Princess pushing through on the high ground. They're looking for Tuzkar. They find that kill. Bird getting up into the air, trying to deal some damage to Spunkki. The blink comes back, and the payload pushing towards the base.
SunCommander hovering around in the backline, but everybody's already past him. Everybody's already in Death and Tax's base. SunCommander, the duration of hover, it doesn't matter if you're increased when everybody's unavailable to hit because they're just on higher levels and higher ledges. Recognizes this, comes up onto the top side, but Laizy still has the high ground advantage, just dropping down damage onto this capture point. And that's a payload conversion immediately for Torpedo. 2 points to 0 over Death and Taxes. How are Death and Taxes going to answer back after that?
I think it's a lot to do with the burn cards here, and unfortunately they're going to be behind in these ones, but it's all about important burn card choices here.
Look at that.
No
Look at that.
wreckers.
No wrecker. That's exactly
No
what we need
wreckers
to
at
see.
all.
But also
Now, what I'd like to
Haven.
see, SunCommander, unless he has, actually he'll have to save onto his ult. He can't change decks. Because I saw at the start of the game, he was running Projector until the moment he actually left base, where he switched last second to this gunship build, hoping to catch someone out, hoping to catch Torpedo out with his last second change if they were watching his build.
And as a result, that could have really fooled Torpedo, but that's only really effective to do once bird cards are on the table, as you can see players' decks without actually having to see the player in person currently. SunCommander, though, manages to get all the way back into Torpedo's backline, and there's a Dragon Punch coming out.
Dragon
doesn't
Punch!
appear to be hitting anybody.
Everyone's just so far away. Hexafire comes out from SunCommander as well, and nothing.
But the threat of the Dragon Punch itself is enough to force Torpedo back. Capture point sitting at 68 in favor of Death and Taxes. Stalled for a second by a blink in from spunkki, but it's just not enough.
Huge Tempest coming through. There's another dome. Custom does get one kill. Bozey Tempests himself, however. Miscommunication on the combos there on the ults. The dome comes down too late after the Tempest. Thiel picks up his own kill, though. Simsiloo goes huge. The chicken as well as that double kill, he picks up that, and the point goes towards Death and Taxes.
And this time it is Death and Taxes on the offensive. Torpedo forced to defend, and Torpedo wiped during that last point fight are going to have to going to be a bit of a disadvantage. They don't have the same time that they need to be able to set up. But great blink from spunkki, great freeze from spunkki, locks down SunCommander. Thiel gets credit for that kill. Thiel now going up top, looking to catch people out who are looking for an easy flank through the middle building.
Thiel uses his Reflector to try and get some damage onto the high ground, use it off, and then they just burn him down knowing it's down. Simsiloo taken very low, however. He'll jump out in time, gets picked up by Princess, actually, smack right in the air. You heard the connection. Tuzkar taken very low. He'll be one hit down. Princess lands that shot as well. It's currently 2 members down from the side of Death and Taxes. Payload still pushing, but spunkki will be there to hold that one. Princess picks up the triple kill.
Fantastic work for the Barrack player on the side of Torpedo, really assisting their team in mounting this defense, getting those all-important kill secures. Simsiloo looking to dish some damage out with arcing shots over into Torpedo's base, but actually connecting onto nobody right now.
Salvo wasted there by Bird, doesn't connect onto anyone at all, and that'll stop their flank right in its footsteps.
Look at Bozey. Bozey goes uncontested and pushes the payload right round out of that choke point. Now that opens it up for SunCommander and Bird to come through. Bird looks to drop some damage. Custom forced to ghost walk away in a lot of trouble here, facing up against Tuzkar, but is saved by spunkki with a fantastic freeze once again. But all the while, the payload, somebody has to contest the payload. Princess, you have to get there in time to contest the payload. Does just that. Payload now very close, actually inside of Torpedo's base.
Yeah, inside the base, but inside another choke point at this point. They get Bozey down, 1 minute remaining. Death and Taxes don't have far to go yet on the payload. However, they do really have to get past this first line of defense from Torpedo that they've set up here now.
They do indeed. The payload is being pushed back by itself at this point now, having been pseudo-captured by Torpedo. But old Bird comes in with the Dragon Punch.
Doesn't hit onto anyone again. Fires off some shots onto Laizy. He's looking for that kill. Princess will pick it up in return. Spunkki takes out Tuzkar for free. He gets away as well. Gonna lick his wounds and get back into the fight any second now. Simsiloo and Bozey turn on him. They blow him up. SunCommander
Thiel
going in huge as well. 30 seconds left. This one's going to be close. The rest of Torpedo respawning, however. They're going to try and push Death and Taxes off of this one and make the defense.
They have to knock out Bozey here. No team is willing to use ultimates, but if Bozey's up and available, then those beacons or those healing totems are going to be going down, and they do. Thiel gets credit for a kill onto Bozey. Spunkki picks up Tuzkar as well. That's no shield for the side of Death and Taxes, but Bird is going ham in the backline. Up on that high ground, SunCommander going in as well, forcing Torpedo right back into their base. A chicken comes out from Simsiloo. That's not available for the next point, and the Princess is holding this alongside Thiel and Spunkki. Bird gets shot out of midair by the Princess, that rifle doing work. Projectile speed on that rifle, very fast. As a result, it's quite easy to get the air shots with, unlike somebody like Eevee, for example, with a slower projectile.
That was great trust in their own teams there. And their own teammates there. We saw two members of Torpedo weren't too low, but they run back to the entrance of their base to get back into the safety and heal back up. They leave two members on the payload against three of Death and Taxes just to heal up. They give themselves a few more seconds of health. They leave their teammates to defend it, knowing that they can pull through and keep it there for a few more seconds.
Absolutely.
And they all group back up, all four of them, higher health again, and pick up the kills.
Oh, Death and Taxes looking at a flank opportunity, electing not to go for it. Dragon Punch
There
coming
goes the
out
Dragon
from Bird.
Punch.
It's gonna find nothing. In fact, Bird gets stuck in a corner once again, but Thiel's in a bit of trouble here. Barricade is up on the high ground for Torpedo. They have a slight advantage. Thiel really needs to get inside that healing beacon.
Here comes the Tempest, though. Gets one kill, gets two. Custom as well, picking up a lot of the damage on Bird. They get the chicken onto Bozey, wipe him out. SunCommander on his own in the back. Spunkki and Laizy looking for that kill. Spunkki very low, but he's waiting for this moment.
The freeze,
He
baits out Hover.
it.
He baits out Hover. Spunkki baits out Hover, and as soon as Hover is being used, they freeze him in place. No escape for the Ruckus. Ruckus can't get out of that situation, and as a result, advantage is now in favor of Torpedo. Another ult from Spunkki, which stalls out the enemy team. This capture looks like it is going back to Torpedo, as there is no way that anybody can get there in time, and the Princess burns a dome shield just to secure that, just on the off chance that Bird might have made an aggressive push towards it.
Not too bad a use of ultimate there. It looks a bit odd, but of course you're not going to use dome shield very much on the attack. So
I so hope you saw what Bird did just then.
that
Bird,
was pretty good. The Tempest coming through. Bozey picks up Thiel, but he gets shut down very quickly. That's another ult burned, only for one return frag.
Strange to see that ultimate burn then, but with this payload conversion, it would reduce it to a single capture point again. Simsiloo being just abused by Spunkki here in this situation. The freeze taken full advantage of, gets dropped immediately, but SunCommander is waiting for Spunkki on the backside. Now spotted out, is forced to hover away. Likely going to be picked up here if Thiel decides to chase, and indeed they do, but isn't spotted out. SunCommander still behind all of Torpedo, but it doesn't matter as the payload is nearing its completion.
Bozey forced off the high ground. He's actually going to be picked up. He teleports up at the wrong time, and they get him too. Thiel trying to pick off Bird. Custom still pushing the point fight. He pops the Ghost Walk, being pressured by a lot of the team. They have high ground control. They need to make some return kills here. Custom still survives. Spunkki with the freeze. They get SunCommander as well. They just can't find any of these frags that they really need right now.
And now
Death and
Spunkki in the
Taxes
backline.
really
Look at
struggling.
Spunkki is unable. Spunkki just blinks in behind Bozey. Bozey doesn't notice. Bozey takes half their health in shots from that ice staff before noticing anything happens. And an ice storm from Spunkki confirms the damage, confirms the cripple onto Simsiloo, who's picked up once again. SunCommander going to pick up Laizy here. And unfortunately, the freeze is not in enough time to be able to save them from Spunkki. But SunCommander is wiped out in response. And now it's a 4 versus 3 on the capture point in favor of Torpedo.
Spunkki is going off on this. He's jumping in, getting the kills, and then somehow managing to get out with almost no health in this one. It looks like they'll finally be wiped, resetting a 14, 19, and 20 streak on Grok, Eevee, and Barrack here.
Absolutely phenomenal.
ridiculous streaks. A whole minute left as well on this push, and the payload sat right on the edge of Death and Tax's base.
Indeed it is. It's going to start to retreat by itself in just a moment, and Torpedo are going to get ready to mount another offensive. They can take their time. They can afford potentially one more wipe if they can tick it to overtime, if that's within the next 20-15 seconds. Simsiloo trying to be cheeky with the portals. Bird drops up, or rather comes up to the top, drops half a salvo onto Laizy, but Laizy are able to escape with their life, and Bird picked up in response by Thiel. That's what Thiel needs to be doing to take out Bird. Thiel has the easiest time out of everybody, landing those air shots, and now SunCommander in a lot of trouble.
Spunkki gets frozen. He's just looking for him. You saw Spunkki wasn't even doing anything that whole fight, just waiting for the moment he could get onto SunCommander and freeze him for the rest of his team to get him and blow him up. We saw just destroying him. Bird gets taken out too. He took Spunkki with him, but it almost looks like it's not enough.
Oh,
the rest of the team.
Respawn though.
SunCommander doing what he can.
It's going to chase down everybody on the side of Torpedo. Custom, the only player left alive. Don't know if they have Ghost Walk available. They're actually going to use it to get out of dodge. The defense is successful on the side of Death and Taxes, but they still pick up an extra kill onto Custom. This is going to mean mostly full burn cards available for everybody. Advantage still in the favor of Torpedo. Though let's take a quick look at the scoreboard and see what burn cards come out.
I expect again to I wouldn't be surprised. Actually, we didn't see a Hexafire there. I'd have liked to see a Hexafire right at the end of that round, and then SunCommander to change to a Projector build.
Okay.
I think that's what Death and Tax. If Death and Taxes can do that, I reckon they can catch Torpedo completely off guard.
I agree with you. I absolutely agree with you. But in the very nature of burning Hexafire at the end, one thing we should mention, when you change decks in the lobby, oh, hold that thought as Bird goes up for the Dragon Punch, looks towards the enemy team, but doesn't find anybody. Once again, splits the pins completely, is shot out of the air as Spunkki picks up SunCommander, and the Princess gets credit for that kill onto Bird.
Thiel with the last second dash, basically touching Bird there with that dash. Dash is out of the way, Bird glides straight through, and the rest of Torpedo with the numbers advantage push through and ace the side of Death and Taxes.
Can we get a Matador skin for Androxus? I mean, I don't support bullfighting in any way, but that was just perfect. That was the dodge. You expect them the Drogas to be kind of rushing through the cape left where Androxus was. It was absolutely phenomenal. And now Bird going up again, looking to pressure down onto Laizy. Bird's really been focusing Laizy down on the salvo
goes
shots,
in with the ultimate and gets down Bird as well as the dome. That's going to block all of this Hexafire as well. Thiel trying to catch what he can with the return with the reflector as well. Picks that up, and another ace here for Torpedo.
Chicken was popped onto the point fight by Simsiloo right at the end there, but is picked off himself as part of it is blocked by the barricade, and as a result, nothing comes from it at all. So that ultimate is down. This is Torpedo's potential opportunity to close out the entire series here, as it does come down to one last point. If they convert this payload or win the next capture point, it could mean the win for them.
Yeah, but it looks like Death and Tax is just in full retreat right now. Either Torpedo have just worked him out with this Wrecker, leaving the Wrecker, or they've just worked out how to deal with Bird, really. You know, the focus has been on him in the past few games, and he's just not having that much of an impact anymore.
Absolutely has to be on Bird. He's been taken out, prioritized by Androxus a lot, but Bozey is staying alive throughout all this, as well as Simsiloo, despite being very, very low. Healing totems do go down, maxing everybody out to full HP in a matter of seconds there. Laizy going deep into Death and Tax's base, looking to pick up Bird, potentially if Bird chooses to follow, but it's a bait. Laizy now retreats back towards the rest of their team. Gonna help heal them up with a healing potion.
SunCommander lived there somehow. He was in cave against Custom, picks that up 1v1. Two members come to him to trade that kill, and he gets out somehow. Meanwhile, though, Spunkki going in, he doesn't actually get the freeze off on anyone, but Laizy picks up that kill on Simsiloo. There was the ultimate from Androxus on Thiel as well, reflecting the damage. They're trying to turn on SunCommander now. Bozey trying to pick up a kill, but they can't find anywhere. Custom taken extremely low, gonna run into caves to keep himself safe, and SunCommander caught all on his own at this point.
Oh, SunCommander picks up the kill. Custom does pick up the health nugget there, but is wiped out by the duo that is Laizy and Thiel. The Androxus pip, too much burst to deal with, but all the while Tuzkar just pushing further and further forwards with this turret barricade combination. Although scrap that thought, his turret is just obliterated there in one single shot,
was
if I'm not
on
mistaken.
the payload 1 versus 2 that whole fight, and actually picked up a kill.
Blocking the payload shots.
That is disgusting. They're just unable to pull numbers advantage here on people right now. Spunkki does finally get shut down. Rest of his team not there to help him out in any way. They're trying to pick up Bozey in return. Thiel's going to go really low, however. He's got the reflector trying to do damage to SunCommander, but it's not enough to take him down. Custom pops the Tempest, but not getting a frag either. And Salvo missing onto Princess almost catches him out.
Despite where the payload is, it is in the choke point. The defense is holding solid. Spunkki not able to get anything out of the ultimate and the freeze combination there, although the Princess and Laizy now have high ground advantage and are looking to chase it to death and tax his base. I mean, Bozey's still sat on the payload. He's not letting it go through at all. And instead, it would appear that Torpedo are actually going to bypass the payload and push directly into the base, looking to get picks on the backside. Oh, Custom brought so low at the kill onto Bird is good and save that engagement.
Spunkki just needs to get on the payload. That's the thing. He wasn't doing much in the fight or in terms of anything else. The rest of Torpedo were inside the base, but Spunkki was just spending the time making sure that they would get that overtime. And here it comes. Princess does get picked off in the back by SunCommander. This is a 4 versus 3 until the next respawn. Simsiloo, no health, has to back off to respawn to regen that health back up. 4 members of Torpedo still pushing through. Custom and Spunkki right now on the payload. Laizy and Thiel trying to deal with the other members on the side. Spunkki does what he can, but that gale stops any if the freeze comes through. Simsiloo, the first person to fall in this push. Laizy going to fall any second now.
Will we see an ultimate potentially here from the Princess as well? If Princess has full ultimate charge, it would be the time to use it.
He does.
He does. Its dome shield goes down. Damage comes out onto Bozey. Damage comes out onto Tuzkar, onto Simsiloo. But oh my gosh, look at the Tempest in response, immediately obliterating all of Torpedo's aggression. Spunkki, the only player left around the payload, has to blink away. Blinks back in with Wormhole. Keeps it ticking on overtime for a second longer, but it's not enough as the respawn times are just too long right now. Advantage remains in Torpedo's favor, but another successful defense on the side of Death and Taxes.
I almost had like Vietnam flashbacks there for a second when I saw Spunkki blink out. All of Death and Taxes ran towards the door,
right?
And then Spunkki blinked back in, and I just thought to myself for a moment, no. But luckily, one member was still on the payload and blocked it.
If that had been the play that won the game, I don't know what I would have done. I would have flipped my table. I would have flipped something because that would have been incredible. Fortunately, Death and Taxes have learned from previous backdoor mistakes, which have worked against them, potentially, and have adopted to keep an eye on the siege there. Also recognizing that EV has made very good use of Wormhole all throughout this game, and are adapting to that very well. Torpedo grouping up and pushing into the backline. Bird in a lot of trouble facing off against Spunkki. Clearly at a disadvantage here, but SunCommander comes to the rescue.
They're not even looking at a point this time. Bird was taken very low, having to heal back up on the totems. The rest of Torpedo holding them very aggressively at this flank right now. Spunkki taken low. Princess takes a hit as well. Here comes the Dragon Punch right into the face of Custom.
Oh,
now,
that's
Thiel
huge.
trying to get a response onto Bird, but he is all on his own. The rest of the team flooding in. Spunkki doesn't get a freeze off onto anyone at that point due to that gale, and they pick up Thiel as well.
At this point, I'd like to see Torpedo back off. There's not much point in giving Death and Taxes any more free kills. You can't get back on this capture point. Back off, set up for a good defense, get into position. Death and Taxes have done it to you before. You can do it again to them. They've done it once previously as well in this very game. And as a result, I want to see Torpedo start to conserve resources. I want to see them set up on these choke points. I don't want to see them starting to give free burn cars to the side of Death and Taxes.
Torpedo now on the defense right now in this one, trying to keep themselves in this game so close on the edge of victory. Huge freeze comes out from Spunkki. That's a double kill for him. He jumps in on the back as well, looking for the triple, doesn't manage to find it. Bird very low health. Custom meanwhile picking up Simsiloo on the back line, and a huge play there from Spunkki just nullifies the assault of Death and Taxes right in its footsteps.
Obviously, the totem was down at that point, so you can't take advantage of Gale Force. The freeze comes out in full. And that's one thing which in the previous game, Spunkki seemed to be missing, or was going for these freezes whilst players from Death and Taxes were amidst the Gale totem. But Torpedo forced backwards slightly as Death and Taxes, Bozey and Tuzkar begin to push into the siege. Custom comes out to defend, but is being pressured by Bird, who flanks perfectly with SunCommander. There's a
They've
pincer maneuver.
lost control of the flank here right now. SunCommander and Bird came in and they're just pushing this one right now. There's no one to respond. This might just be a free conversion right now if they don't get on it. It is right on the edge at the moment. Bird picks up spunkki.
But everybody's up on the side of Death and Taxes. Actually, scrap that as Laizy does pick up SunCommander. No kills in response just yet, but the looks of things, Laizy, very low health though, has to heal up in just a second. Bozey needs to fall here, or Death and Taxes are just going to hold at this point for a long time. And indeed, it looks like they are. Spunkki does get a freeze off, but it's onto nobody as that healing totem is still up and available. Custom left up to defend as Spunkki is wiped out by Bird.
Bird is still doing a lot of damage here. He picks up the health nugget. The race for the nugget works out for Custom. He gets that one, but last second it gets pushed in. Thiel going for the flank round behind them, leaves the payload alone, and Bird runs in and secures that one.
Fantastic play from Death and Taxes, and this capture point could very well end everything here, as one payload one capture point and one conversion from Death and Taxes could spell doom for Torpedo, but at the same time, only one capture point confirmation from the side of Torpedo could end everything right here, right now. It's 5 seconds until the capture point spawns. Ultimates are largely charged across of all of Torpedo. Burn cards coming out are a bit lackluster for Torpedo, as they lost that around very heavily and have a very poor economy as a result, not getting much credits in the engagement, and let's see how it pans out.
I can't believe I just said the race for the nugget.
Yep,
Don't think that's
come back to
something I'm
haunt
gonna
you.
say for a while.
That's gonna come back to haunt you with your
That's
little
gonna be
nickname there.
memed. That's gonna be memed.
You are a meme.
I am a meme. I am a nugget.
Current capture point advantage though on the side of Torpedo. At this point, I want to see Torpedo back off, bait Death and Taxes onto the capture point, bait their ultimates out, come back in spades, use your ultimates, but Custom all the while just sticking on. There's half of the capture point already gone almost.
Spunkki goes in on Bird. Solo pops the snowstorm, gets him. Custom inside the building, gets the great Tempest off. They pick up another 2 kills. Spunkki almost getting SunCommander, but that's three kills for the side of Torpedo in this defense.
Spunkki's caught up. Spunkki caught up with Simsiloo. SunCommander managed to hide around the corner, stay alive, actually hiding in the tunnels underneath. But with Torpedo knowing this, SunCommander pokes his head out, should fall in just a moment there. Oh, the freeze is huge. But SunCommander doesn't even fall. Torpedo capture the point in enough time. GG, Torpedo. That is the entire series. Torpedo advanced to week 5 of the qualifiers for the playoff games, which will decide which of the 4 teams from each region will be whittled down to 2, who will go on to compete at the DreamHack Founders Tournament. Incredible games across the board from both of these top tier teams, and I look forward very much to seeing how Death and Taxes fare next week.
Yep, and that is the first slot of the 5th playoff week confirmed. Torpedo will take seed 1 coming into this. Of course, they won't be able to play in any of the consecutive weeks, week 2, 3, or 4. So other teams definitely have a lot more chance now coming into the next weeks. We saw a lot of potential with some of the teams this week, really coming close to winning some of these series, Death and Taxes especially, and that nail-biting 5th game best of 5 series. And
what a phenomenal way to kickstart this qualifier off. And don't forget, if you thought this was great, we're going to be coming back at you tomorrow. Times exactly will be announced in a little while on social media, or maybe tomorrow. But we'll be coming back with the counter region NA qualifiers, week 1, day 2, coming at you tomorrow on twitch.tv/Paladins Game. And of course, don't forget to follow the channel. Stay tuned for more info about that. But before we go any further, any closing thoughts on that set? Because I am lost for words.
I mean, it was just Torpedo finally adapted to the fact there was not a projector. And, you know, that was the moment that I'd have liked to see Death and Taxes switch it back to projector. But it never happened. And, you know, Bird was being dealt with again. He wasn't able to get those Dragon Punch ultimates off anymore. They were missing quite often in that time. He managed to catch one on that waterfall fight that they won, but he wasn't connecting with them anymore and actually putting himself in a worse position because of them. So unfortunate.
It's so difficult
there
to get right. It's so hard to actually get those Dragon Punches to connect. And again, it's high risk, high reward. But if one thing this last set has shown is that Drogoz is totally viable. If Death and Taxes can make them work, this effectively actually out-damaging SunCommander did Drogoz in that final game. I hope we see much more of that coming up in future tournaments and future rounds. because they are incredibly fun to watch. The hype plays as the Dragon Punch comes through, the incredible expectorate knockbacks, and the salvo one-shot takedowns that we saw Bird perform today were absolutely phenomenal. I very much look forward to seeing those coming in the future.
I gotta agree as well. Watching the drag races, just phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Absolutely. Potentially, we're going to see a Drogos matchup at some point in the future. And we're going to see the race to see who can pop the ult first, because whoever pops it first should get the kill, as we saw in the patch reveal for CB24 or CB23 when Drogos was released. And that about wraps everything up from us today. Once again, we have been your casters. My name has been Vox. I was joined, of course, by Taddle on the camera.
Hello there.
And behind the scenes today have been Onilight and Phasian, your Paladins World gurus who have handled all of the production for day, including the construction of the fantastic, magnificent overlays we've been fortunate enough to use throughout all today. If you are interested and new to Paladins and you want to find out more information about Paladins, visit paladins.com. The game is currently in closed beta, but if you visit paladins.com/community, you'll be granted 4 beta keys by following one of the Paladins social media accounts, as long as you link your account and follow their process, which will allow you to share those beta keys with friends. Also, the more you level up in Paladins, the more beta keys you're granted to share with friends. So don't forget to share alike, and we will see you tomorrow.
Bye.